I don't know if you know Steph Curry, the basketball player.
Yeah, he's like one of the only ones I know.
Right, kind of like a popular name, and he's all over stuff. He's got his mouthpiece, and people usually complain about him with like his mouthpiece sticking out, but it's actually like it takes your mind off the moment, you know, and it gives you something else to focus on, so you're not overthinking. So
I do the same thing when I talk, like especially when we're recording, because then I feel like my hands are distracted.
Yep.
And then I can focus on what I'm saying more.
Yep.
And then it feels like it comes across better. I don't know if that's actually the case, but I don't know. It psychologically it makes sense to me.
It's a performance thing. That's why people have those. You know, there's those idiosyncrasies like in baseball. Guys, like if before they throw a pitch, they might like do like one of those, and then they go up. They'll do it every time. Because it helps. It just you develop your routine and how you do it, and then it helps out with that distraction and taking your mind somewhat off the moment. So you're not like thinking about saying something. You're almost like thinking about twirling that in your hand.
Yeah.
So it's almost like just more. I don't know.
You don't get in your own head about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if that's is that what Peyton Manning did when he would yell Omaha all the time?
No, that's a play. That's just
okay.
It was something that he'd read a defense and see that,
because that was unique to him, right? The Omaha thing.
I mean, that's every football quarterback. Football is one of the ones I don't think you really have time to develop idiosyncrasies, just because there's constantly something happening and it's always new. Like in basketball, it's like, all right, I got a pick coming, or I got to dribble the ball up, or I'm going to take a shot. You know, baseball is like, I got to face this guy or get ready for the pitch coming to the ball coming out.
Baseball, it would seem like that'd be the biggest one, where you would have something to kind of take your mind off of, you know, the pressure of it, I guess. So
for sure, 100%. Football and hockey, it's constantly like line shifts and changes and action and up and down. So you're almost just focused on breathing, you know, as opposed to like what's actually going on, because you don't have time to think about that next, you know. Basketball, I mean, you could almost say the same thing about basketball. I think basketball is more of like if you're doing like free throws, or, you know, if you're getting ready to take the shot or something's getting set up for you. Or
like in football, when you do a penalty kick.
Yeah. Yep. I bet you those guys probably have like a certain routine that they like. It's
their routine is falling and when they get tripped a little bit, and then they cry because their leg is broken,
screaming to the heavens.
Yes.
Selling it.
Yeah, their routine is acting.
Yeah. All right, 30-minute session.
Yeah. Speaking of acting, I guess we can jump into it.
Yeah.
Forget the bird and use the scope, you wanker.
Rob Bowman.
Yeah. Well, technically yes, but it's a line from the movie. It's when the tanks are rolling up, and
there's some action coming on, and the guy's like sitting there and he's looking at the bird because he's like, people, there's no people here.
It's like, bird's not doing anything. It's like, forget the bird and use the scope, you wanker. And then I had another quote. It was, only one thing worse than dragons: Americans.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, I got two to choose from. I might as well include both of them, I guess.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about it.
Yes. But before we do that, I want to ask you.
Okay.
Because I didn't get a chance before we, started recording.
Right.
And I might as well do it now. Did you get a chance to check out our special episode with Larry the Cable Guy?
I saw it get posted. I have not listened to it yet. So I was curious as to how we got Larry in here. Yeah. I forgot. I think I was it was last weekend? Was it last Saturday?
It came out a day before our normal episode.
That's what I thought. Yeah. I was with my brother, and the Facebook feed popped up, and I saw it dropped, and I was like, wow, that's early for us to drop it, you know? And then I read it, and I was like, is this an older episode? I had no idea. I was going in, I was looking at it, so I think I listened I was with my brother, so we listened to about 5 minutes of it, and then we went back to, you know,
whatever you were doing.
Yeah. Preston was in town, and we were over at my parents', so.
Gotcha. You couldn't really sync 2 hours and 12 minutes of your day to Larry the Cable Guy.
So to say, I wasn't mowing the lawn or putting away the dishes. So
no, I get it. But yeah, if you get a chance, check it out.
Okay.
At least try to get through at least a half hour of it, I would say.
There we go.
If you can do that.
Yeah.
It's an experience. It's a little cerebral in ways.
Sure.
Yeah. But no, I just wanted to bring that up. And then I figured before we get into the meaty movies that we talk about, I did watch Montage of Heck.
Oh, yeah.
I checked that out, so maybe we could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. I recommended it to Sam. Sam seeing Last Days. I believe we were talking a little bit about it, and he asked me how I liked it. And, I told him, I said, I've seen it. It's the second time I've seen it. It's kind of funny that you're recommending these films that are, like, not the films themselves being dark or whatever, but like the fact that I've seen them now, like more than once. Like, it's not like the first time I'm seeing these things.
Yeah, revisit.
Yeah, and not only that, just like not having I don't know, maybe it impacts me differently. But anyways, we were talking a little bit about it, and I told him, I said, if you get a chance, check out Montage of Heck. So I was like, it really helps. I felt, and I'm sure you can corroborate, or at least you get your opinion on it, with that movie and what's going on in his head. Because like I've mentioned before with Kurt Cobain, he was such a unique character and so what am I trying to think of? Not undefined, just not well known. He didn't like the media. He didn't really like being in the public spotlight. He had troubles with failure.
You can't really put a label on him. Like he's Kurt Cobain. He's who he is. Yeah. Like you can't really compare him to anybody else.
So I think like when you watch Last Days, you're just kind of looking at a misunderstood person, and you're kind of you take, it's a nameless face. It's more of just like you see suicide as opposed to what he was actually going through. You kind of imagine that a lot of people go through similar events, but like when you actually dive into Montage of Heck and get to see a little bit more of him, it's like, oh.
Yeah. You definitely get to see more of him. What did Sam think of Last Days? Did he like it?
No, I don't think. Sam likes movies, but he's still happy-go-lucky at heart.
Yeah.
So, Reign of Fire might not be the best.
Right.
But it's definitely like one that he's, he'd probably much rather watch that than Last Days. But he's very empathetic, too. So, like, I think me and him kind of fall in the same vein, and I think that's where coaching comes into play a little bit, is that you take on the emotions of others. So, when you watch something like that, especially dealing with, like, someday we'll watch What Dreams May Come, and it just weighs heavy on your heart the whole time because you can't help but soak in those feelings that the person's feeling, and it's almost like
100%.
It's like poison, though. Yeah, it's really tough because it conflicts with everything that you want to feel, and at the same token, you feel like you want to do something.
I think I'm the same way. I'm very empathetic when it comes to people who are not in a good place, and even when I see that in a movie, I don't know, it can kind of sway me almost a little bit too much in some instances, because after I watched Last Days, and I might have mentioned this when we talked about it last, but it made me feel really empty and just kind of like not nihilistic, but I didn't want to talk to anybody after the movie was done. I didn't want to do anything.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, I was just very kind of in my own head about it, like, wow, that was fucking dark.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do right now, so I'm just not going to do anything. And that's kind of how I felt after Last Days. But yeah, Montage of Heck, I watched that probably a few days after we recorded. It is not a typical documentary. It's, there's a few talking heads, and they got some interviews with, his parents and Courtney Love and Chris Novaljak, I think his name is. The
other the artist, he was a guitarist, I believe, or bassist.
Yeah, I think he was the bassist.
It was him, David Grohl, and Kurt Cobain, and they fucking took the world by storm.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me.
But most of it is, what I thought was pretty interesting is just home video footage and like kind of, it's in the name, montages of his journal entries that he would write throughout his years. Yeah. And you can kind of see his mental state and where he's at in both of the journal entries and the home video footage, especially towards the end when, he's with Courtney Love.
Oh yeah. That was,
they've got the baby. And yeah. It's very like, I don't know, raw, which it doesn't tell you really how to feel. It just shows you what it is, and it's like, here it is.
Well, I think it's the best look at Kurt Cobain that you could get.
Right.
I mean, it's for a guy that avoided and hated people shining a light on him. It's probably about the most subtle way you could go about shining a light on someone. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is everything that you said, and we're not gonna. The nice thing too is, I mean, as long as like the state of Kurt Cobain wasn't attached to it, there wasn't a driving point to uplift his image or tarnish it, which is probably the best thing that you can do with a documentary like that, is just show it for what it's worth and who he was.
Yeah,
and you don't craft that narrative of strung out junkie leads band to what, you know. I mean, it's just like, this is how he got here. This is where he was at mentally the whole time. And you can see how long he carried that weight.
Yeah.
I was more affected from Montage Effect than I was Last Days.
Yeah. That was also like pretty effective in making me feel shitty. I will say.
I watched that at work. Like, I was like doing work, and I'm like sitting there, like I kept like looking over it, because I'm like listening, and then I'd like watch, and then I'd be like, and then that thing got done, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like eating such a heavy fucking meal.
Yeah. It sits in your stomach like a damn rock.
Yes.
I was looking up other documentaries about Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, and just like kind of reading about them. Mm-hmm. And it seems like this one is like the most well regarded in terms of all of them, because a lot of them, from what I've read, it seems like you were saying earlier about how a lot of documentaries have kind of a narrative goal in mind. Like they kind of want to make you feel a certain way, or like have a certain goal in mind in terms of like the subject matter. But yeah, those ones aren't as well received, at least the ones I've read about, because
I don't think it would really, I don't think that's what he'd want.
Yeah.
You know,
like they almost read like they come across as just unauthentic. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, that's what Kurt Cobain was. He was authentic, at least from what you see about him in the documentary.
Yeah, in a weird way. He was authentic in terms of who he was and what he was doing, but it wasn't authentic in terms of what we want as a capitalist society.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's where there's always that differing view. I think that's where you struggle a lot with some of the artists, because they're getting out what they want to get out in their emotions, and it's always like people accept it, but then at the same token, it's hard to market or capitalize on it because it's not their end objective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which, I mean, I respect this documentary a lot just because it's a very objective view of his life. I mean, the most part, they just show home video footage.
Oh, dude, they didn't. I don't think they really shied away. Now, there's probably more shit that's happened that they could have easily got into. Mm-hmm. But in terms of some like events that kind of would dictate your mental state, like they did a really good job. And I think, if anything, they just softballed like his whole, 0 to age, like, from being born up to age 10, like they kind of dive into it, but they really didn't get into the sticky stuff with it.
No, they didn't mention anything about like how he was bullied or how people called him gay, right, or like his relationship with homosexuality in any way. Like they didn't touch on any of that.
No,
but I don't know, maybe that's just because a lot of that stuff you just don't see or read in his journals or his home videos. Yeah, so.
Or it's been glossed over before, touched on, so they're like, you know what? I mean, we're just gonna show him for what he was, and if he had had more in his journals about that stuff, maybe they would have touched on it. I mean, I don't. Yeah. I think they just kind of got up to. It felt like they had to get to the band starting and kind of those teen years,
Yeah.
So
those journal entry transitions, I appreciated them quite a bit because it let you in on like what he was writing, like directly from the source, pretty much. Like you can't get much closer than that unless you resurrect the guy,
right?
But there was some times where it like would go on for a little too long to me. Like, all right, this is very like grunge in my face right now. Like I'm getting hit with a lot of sensory overload here.
Yes,
maybe we can move on to the next thing.
Yeah,
but I mean, I liked it overall. I thought it was good. I don't know. Was there anything more we wanted to talk about with Montage of Heck?
No, I definitely I'd recommend it just if you're interested in kind of like a really, dude. So I threw on The Rock. I had Preston. It was last night, and he passed out, and I think we had to leave the next day.
You're talking about the Sean Connery movie, right?
Yeah,
not Drain My Cock Johnson.
No. And I threw on The Rock, and they're talking about Sean Connery's hair. It's like right in the beginning, and and Nicolas Cage goes, "You're gonna need a haircut," and he goes, "Why?" And he's like, "Well, unless you're a freaking band from Seattle, you're gonna have to get it cut." Like that. I was thinking about this. You have to be so big in pop culture to make your way into a movie because it's a reference people have to get.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like they didn't outright say Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, and that's exactly the whole point. It's like there's like Michael Jordan was that big, where in the 90s you could throw a Michael Jordan reference in there. Like if someone was wearing some shoes and you're like, you got the wrong brand on, dude, and I was like kind of tongue in cheek, like you're not wearing the Air Jordans, people would get it. And that's where I laugh. I'm like, I can't believe that this guy got that fucking big, especially after watching this documentary. Like,
right.
There's no way if you took an alien and just sat him down and they didn't know what Nirvana was, right? Like they hadn't heard the music, no idea that it was like grunge, nothing. And you just put on the first 30 minutes of that film and you stopped it and go, what do you think's going to happen next? That guy isn't going to be like, oh, they're going to sweep the United States. They're going to have 5 number 1 hits in the span of 3 years. And
he's going to represent a whole generation.
Yeah, like it's insane. That's why I think he's so polarizing and so wild to watch. And especially a guy, I mean, like, I don't know, maybe if you got some mental diseases going on, there's some hope here.
Yeah. Yeah. He's kind of inspirational that way. You're right.
In a weird way. I wouldn't follow his whole path.
Maybe in certain aspects.
Yes, I was about to say.
Diverge at a certain point.
I don't want to say dissect, the man himself with what he did, but there are certain things I would say, if this is going on, you need to look at this and treat it. Like this will hinder you.
Yeah. Kurt Cobain, in a lot of ways, just got lucky.
Oh, my God,
that's
dude.
That's just how he got successful.
Okay, real quick before we go on.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So he starts sending out tapes to record labels, right? Like that's where the genesis got started. Someone took him on and they got him on a radio. Like I couldn't, like literally watching this thing, it went from, we were just, we called 12 different record labels and finally someone in Winnipeg, Canada took us on the blah, 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 blah record label. And then next thing you know, we're recording for them. And then it's like the next thing, like sold out concerts. Like, yeah, I was like, this just,
it's a big leap from like garage grunge band to on a world stage in front of thousands of people.
That's what, like, that is true though, right? Like, I'm not like in your Mac, you missed 20 minutes of this thing. Like, that did happen. Like, that's how it went, right?
Yeah, in the documentary, it's a super, like, it's not even like a small step. It's like a trip into the next stage of his life.
You remember?
There's no lead up to it.
Have you ever seen "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou"?
Yeah.
You know when they were like hit the record label and they were like, "We want the Soggy Bottom Boys." So it's like, "What is this tune? This thing's hopping," And then it's just like, "We got to get these guys out here, these boys." Like I feel like that was it. Like someone's just like listening. Every lifestyle is it ages, and then just like the rate that fucking beacon of Vice just went off.
Yeah, but alas, Kurt Cobain turned into a man of constant sorrow.
Yes, he did. Yeah. So, all right, well, yeah, there you go. I'd recommend watching Montage of Heck if you're interested in Kurt Cobain at all. If there's any sort of like what was going on, check this thing out. And it's a little dark, and you'll get into the mind of a madman, but it'll help at least kind of explain. For me, I didn't really know much about him, and I've been hearing about him since I was in 6th grade.
Yeah. Also, I will point out real quick before we stop talking about this, good use of the music, too. I liked obviously they used Nirvana's music for the documentary.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know, right? This guy, Brett Morgan, he made another documentary about a musician. It's about David Bowie. It's called Moon Age Daydream.
Ooh.
Gideon and Lauren love that.
Really?
And they suggest I watch it.
Do a trade. Do a trade of film.
I'm more into Kurt Cobain than I am David Bowie. But I might check it out. Who knows?
Do it. Yeah, I would do a trade.
Do a trade. Like have them watch.
Yeah,
Montage.
I would like to see. I'd like to see Gideon's response to Montage of Heck.
I would too.
I'd be very interested. And I mean, that's his lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I'd be very curious to see like if there's any.
Gideon's a little more whimsical than Kurt Cobain.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's a little bit of the contrast that I would like.
Also, knowing him, I don't think he does heroin, but you never know.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, he could hide it really fucking well, and I'd have no clue. But yeah, should we rate Montage of Heck? I rated it on Letterboxd.
Oh, I think. Let me see if I went through on IMDb. What'd you give it? You can go first.
I gave it. I was a little conflicted. I gave it a 7 out of 10, but I might bump it up just after talking about it and thinking about the documentary's goals. And I don't know. I really like it. I think it's a good look at his life. I mean, that's pretty much what the documentary is. So,
and I mean, it's well done too. I mean, it's not like there's some documentaries that are really polarizing just because of the subject matter and the content, but it's not like well done.
Yeah.
You know, I think they did a good job with a very polarizing subject matter. Mm-hmm. Like they didn't dull it down, nor did they really make it more so than what it was.
Yeah. They didn't exaggerate it.
Right.
Yeah. So probably 7 out of 10 for me, but it might go up. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's funny because I've probably talked about this film now for over the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I've talked about it more than however long I knew it was fucking out for. Yeah. I had never even heard of this thing, and all of a sudden, like, I've talked to 3 different people about it.
I think just reading about Kurt Cobain, I might have come across the name, because when you said Montage of Heck, it didn't sound like too unfamiliar.
Yeah.
So I heard it, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out.
Did you know, and this is for everyone out there too, there's conspiracy theories
about his death?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that last time? We don't even need to talk about it now, but like there's books written on it.
Yeah, most people blame Courtney Love for that.
I've seen a whole bunch. I've seen her. I've seen the family. I've seen,
Dave Grohl.
No, Dave's innocent.
No, he's too busy having sex with what's his name.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. He's like watching Last Days, and like we're all sitting here like, how do you feel if you're Dave Grohl? And he's like watching. He's like, more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's like really into it.
Yeah.
That'd be alarming a little bit. Oh my God. Also, sorry if I cough sometimes. I'm going to try to cut them out, but just know that I'm recovering from being sick for a week. So there's that. I was worried that we might have to postpone the episode because I was that sick. But
fighting through it.
Yes. I am on the upward slope. I am on the roller coaster, and it's almost done. So I'm excited for that. Speaking of roller coaster, you know what movie is a wild ride?
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. John Wick,
Oh,
Chapter 4.
Wow. I was wondering where you were going to go.
Yes.
Literally in the bathroom, I was like, I bet she goes Reign of Fire first.
Oh, really?
I thought, but hey, I'm good with John Wick leading off.
So it doesn't really matter what order we do the movies, but in my head, I always try to do it new release or whatever other movie we watch first.
Probably the one that makes sense.
And then the recommendation.
Yeah, for people that are tuned out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
But like I said, the order doesn't really matter.
No, yes, John Wick, Chapter 4.
Yeah, so I'm happy to tackle this one if you're happy to tackle Reign of Fire.
Of course.
I know you are. So I will get this one. So John Wick Chapter 4. Obviously, the 4th installment of the John Wick film franchise. It takes place after the 3rd one, surprise, and follows John Wick after he got shot off the roof of the Continental by Winston. He's taken time, he's trained, he's recovered, he's enlisted the help of the Bowery King, played by Lawrence Fishburne, and John Wick is after the High Table, and after he strikes them towards the beginning of the movie, the High Table enlists the help of the Marquis de Gramont, who is played by Bill Skarsgård.
Coming around, Bill Skarsgård.
He's getting places, man. And he is in charge, basically, of hunting down and killing John Wick. And then meanwhile, Winston, the Continental manager, has to figure out where he fits into all of this and the consequences of what he's allowed John Wick to do. So, spoilers for John Wick Chapter 4.
Yes.
We're just going to get into the meat of it.
Let's do it.
So, it's weird because... So this movie got pushed back because Keanu had to do the Matrix Resurrections, which, I mean, that was worth it.
Yes, I was about to say the final product, definitely worth it.
Yep, that was worth waiting longer for this movie, I guess.
6 months ago, probably cussing up and down.
Yeah.
I would say it's one of those things, if you hear about it and you go, okay, let's see how the Matrix, that new movie is. Because if it's good, it's like, all right, like... I'm sure John Wick Chapter 4 is going to be good too, but like when it's a steaming pile of shit, it's like you wasted my time for this.
Yeah. You made me wait 2 whole years for this movie because of the fucking Matrix sequel that sucked dick.
Yeah.
Like
horrible.
It was so fucking bad, dude. I think I lowered it by like a point.
You saw this movie came out and you were still so mad at it. You're like, I had this pushed this back 2 years, so it's going down in my ratings.
I had to go back and reevaluate my life choices, and I chose to bump down Matrix because of it. But I bring it up because this movie, they originally were going to shoot this one and Chapter 5 back to back. Like they were going to continue it, and then they were going to release Chapter 5 a year later, kind of doing like a Infinity War Endgame sort of thing.
Right.
But I think what they did was they scrapped Chapter 5 and they kind of took story elements from it and combined it with this movie, which is why we get the nearly 3-hour long runtime.
Which goes down smoothly.
Yeah, doesn't it? Right? Like I'm not even joking. Like spoilers for my thoughts. I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, never once did I go like, what time is it? Where are we at? It literally, the whole thing just keeps building momentum, and you're getting to that point, you know, but you just don't know when you're gonna get there. And then
So I guess,
Where do you start? This
I don't know where to start.
It's so hard because it's so great.
Okay.
Like, it's just it's fantastic.
So I just want to say first off, I think that this is probably my favorite in the series now. Like out of all the John Wick movies. Number 1 is like really close. It's like there. It's scraping number 4's number 1 spot, you know?
Dude, I've never ever thought that a 4th movie coming out would ever be better than the first.
Yeah.
Like The Godfather 2 or Shrek 2 or whatever sequels you talk about are always the next ones out that rival it. Mm-hmm. These ones are always straight to DVD.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, hey, we got Keanu's name before he hits the twilight years. Like we can get a quick dollar on this. Let's get it out there.
Yeah.
And instead of that, they just fucking kill it.
Yeah. That's funny you mentioned that because the first John Wick was almost a straight to DVD movie.
Yeah,
because none of the studios wanted to pick it up.
Keanu's name had, I think, at that point, had fallen off. Like he had his little renaissance, like around that time.
Yeah, John Wick was a big reason why Keanu kind of had a comeback. Mm-hmm. It's because like his name all of a sudden went back into the mainstream because of this movie.
Yeah,
it certainly wasn't fucking because of Knock Knock or whatever that movie he did with.
Seen that?
And did you actually watch that? Mm-hmm. Oh.
Well, it was like kind of like a Keanu kick, and I was like, oh, like I heard like this thing is like awful, and yes, we're not talking about that one though.
No. This is Keanu Praise Hour. Matt can see it, but for those at home, I'm wearing my John Wick shirt.
Oh, nice.
So it's the marker with the Latin written in it, and I think it says "blood for blood" around the coin, and then it says excommunicado underneath it. Megan got this for me. So shout out to Megan for going on Etsy and being a real treat.
Coda hand claps right there.
Yes, Coda hand claps. Just waving our hands for our listeners. But no, obviously this is a franchise that I love, and I'm really happy that the 4th one is as good as it is. I think my ranking is number 4 in first place, and then number 1 in second place. Like that's easily still like my number 2.
Oh yeah.
And then I've thought about this for a while, and as much as I love Chapter 3, and as much as I love that knife action fight scene in it, I think Chapter 2 is more consistent with its action and the pacing. And then Chapter 3, while I still love it, it has like some pacing issues. There's some kind of repetitive feeling fight scenes in that movie.
Yes.
After a while, like it's got some bangers for sure, but I don't know, it doesn't really hold up as well as the others in the series.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm 1-4. I was just talking to the lovely Jasmine about this, and I told her, I said if I could just buy it, I'd buy 1 and 4. 2 and 3, I'm like whatever, you know. But this one was just, I mean, it was spectacular.
So yeah, let's just jump into it.
It's so hard. What do you do?
So, I think a big reason why I love this one overall, in terms of like, especially compared to 2 and 3. Is I think the filmmaking is just better. I think it's improved overall. Like the sets, the cinematography, the way things are shot, like the color grading, like how interesting everything looks, I think is a lot better in this movie than, like, even the music too. Because in the third one, they didn't have like Castlevania to do some of the soundtrack.
Right.
Whereas this movie, they brought him back because he did the first and the second, but he didn't do the third.
Okay.
And then they brought him back, and most of his music was used in the German club scene with Scott Adkins.
Oh yeah.
And which, by the way, we'll fucking talk about that. I love the use of that music and just how it's implemented in the series. I think it matches so well with the tone.
Yes.
I absolutely love it.
Dude, no, the yes, everything. It's very hard to sit here and nitpick. I mean, the choreography was great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah,
the sets were immaculate.
Choreography, the like variety of fighting styles that you get is so good. And like the kind of issue that I had with 3 that I mentioned earlier was it starts to feel a little repetitive.
Stale.
Like how many times can I watch Keanu Reeves knock down a guy and then shoot him in the head judo style? It's like, okay. And that's all well and good, but like we need a little bit more flavor diversity here.
Yeah.
And you get that with not only the situations that Keanu's put in, that John Wick has put in, but also new characters. Like you get Donnie Yen, who's fucking great.
Yes.
As a blind man.
Is he really blind? This is the second time he's played a blind guy.
Yeah, the other one was, Rogue One?
Yeah.
Yeah. I found that really funny.
I was sitting there watching. I was like, "Is that the same guy?" And I'm like, "Is he really blind? Like, what's going on? How do you land that role twice?"
I know, typecast as blind action hero.
Yeah.
No, he's not actually blind. He's just very skillful in martial arts and also just playing
How about
a blind character.
I think my favorite is when he goes into the restaurant and he sets up the doorbell system.
Oh yeah. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Because you're watching him and you're like, what is he doing? What exactly is going on?
I didn't know what those things were.
Yeah. I thought maybe they were bombs or something. He was setting up some C4.
Yeah, so I was thinking more of like an alarm system. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was either a bomb or like an alarm system, but I wasn't ready for the toot.
Yeah, the doorbell.
Yeah, like when I heard that, I was like, oh, nice.
Yeah. There's something kind of comical about it, and I think that that's something John Wick really does well is the humor that they sprinkle in. They've got the doorbell, which is kind of, it's quirky, it's quaint. He holds the gun to the guy's head, and then he just holds it there, and then all of a sudden he wallops him with the cane over and over again. It's like, okay, there's character there, there's humor here. Obviously, like in the German club fight scene when John Wick shoots him in the ass and he goes, "You shot me in the ass."
Yeah.
Schweizer. I don't know. There's like a tongue-in-cheek nature about these movies that they kind of have to have in order to be fun.
They live more in the moment than what you do in your typical kung fu style action films. There's a lot of like the Jackie Chan stuff, like here and there you'd have a little bit more of like, oh, what's Jackie gonna do? And like, how does he use the elements to his advantage? Where in this one is more of like kind of what you'd think about guys fighting and like your reactions to what would happen. You know, like, I mean, you shoot a guy in the ass, he's probably going to scream out, you shot me in the fucking ass.
You're right.
Like, and be pissed about it, you know? And it's not like the gun, like like when he's holding the gun and he just beats that guy mercifully with the cane. Like, it's just toying with them, you know? And I think if you're looking at other films, that you have to keep that suspense going, so that's where you lose a little bit of that flavor I think that's probably what happened in the third one, even maybe a little in the second one for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this one, like, totally everything felt these scenes were etched out, and you really felt as where they were at, the style of fighting was representative of what was going on, which I think is just like another layer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because like, you know, I mean, it's you could do this like really fun style, jumping off cars and stuff, or the brute mentality of what you're kind of going for with just seeing fists thrown. But like, he adapts to every style and like what's going on, which makes it just a little bit more eventful. And that's why I think this goes by so fast, because it's not the same or repetitive antics. You know, especially with 55-year-old Keanu. I mean, like, how much can you get out of him?
He's 58.
58?
Yeah. Probably
When
was
it
like
was
56
shot.
or 57 when this was filmed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, that was one of the things that I really appreciated, was there was a lot of fun moments, a lot of kind of laugh out loud moments, you know, and just characters realizing what was going on and actually being like, you almost felt like they were mindful just in the film.
Yeah.
You know, which is fun. Because like you said, it makes them a character. I mean, it gives them personality, and it gives them like that human element.
Yeah, and you see it not only with like the things they say or like, you know, what their character does in terms of the story, but like just the action scenes, like the things that they do, like little idiosyncrasies that go like, oh, okay, this is a unique character. I'm excited to see where they're going. And it's funny you mentioned like Jackie Chan and kind of using what's at his disposal in his fight scenes, because I was listening to an interview with Chad Stahelski, who's the director of this, which I don't think I mentioned. He's directed like all 4 films.
You just kind of skipped over everything and got into this thing.
I'm excited.
You're like a little kid on Christmas that knew he got the Nintendo 64. Like fucking threw everything off to the side, grabbed it, and just started ripping.
Yeah, I opened my present a little too early.
Yeah.
But, you know, breakfast isn't even finished yet, and I'm already diving into the gift. But no, I was listening to an interview with him, and he said something that I think makes a lot of sense, and kind of like it helps make these movies stand on their own and separate them from like typical action movies, especially modern ones, is that he takes a set. He said it's very easy to take an action hero and put him in a room and have him surrounded by guys and be like, okay, he's in a room. There's nothing else around. It's guy versus this group of guys. And
right.
that's what you get. Like, how do we make the action unique in that way? Whereas he likes to look at a set or a location, and he likes to go, oh, maybe we can use this table, or maybe we can use this statue to our advantage.
Yes.
Or like, what would Keanu do if he was in this environment, and how would he use it to his skill set? Like, he thinks about that stuff not only because he's done this before like countless times now, and he's kind of like, I don't know, it feels like he's like getting better with it too as a filmmaker, but also because he's a stuntman. He was Keanu Reeves' stunt double on the original Matrix trilogy. And I don't know, I think him coming from that world and having that background just helps him as a director directing these action scenes so much. You
almost get to, which is probably one of the things you like, because if the script's good and the character's already developed, now you can go into your production design and your sets. And if they're doing that, you can visualize what you want, you can set it up, and then you can start doing your, you know, the tracking or the marking. You know, now you can start like really looking at like, all right, well, what if we get them falling into this thing? Like when they're in the Chinese museum, where were they at? Was it...
Oh, are you talking in Osaka?
Osaka, yeah, the Osaka,
the Continental.
Yeah, the Osaka Continental.
I've seen this movie 4 times, so I know a little bit of what.
No, I'm glad. That's
what things are.
I was just saying. I was trying to keep up with everything. It's not like there's a whole lot, but there's definitely like it's 2 hours and 50 minutes, and they get like 4 new characters.
It feels really grand.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
But so before we hop into that, but I think what you can do is that in the Osaka Continental, he had that room set up, and he's like, this is where you're gonna meet. What's the blind guy's name?
Kane.
Kane. Yeah, this is where Kane and John are gonna fight for the first time, and then you get to kind of figure out like setting everything up, marking it, going, all right, we could do this, this, and this, you know. And I think half of it probably does happen because he was a stunt double, and your perspective alone, like Keanu being in the Matrix films going through, probably doesn't care about the marking because he's not the one doing it. You know, whereas the stunt double, Chad Stahelski, is in here probably learning the environment, learning the surroundings, and even in his own head being like, hey, wouldn't it be even cooler like if I did the slow-mo, like run up the wall, jump off, and float down? Like, you know what I'm saying? So and I think that as a director, I mean, if, like I said, I mean, if the script and the characters are good, that gives you the next level of how do I manipulate the environment. And boy howdy, you know, like when you come up with something that magnificent. I mean, and two, I will say this kind of fits our like eye candy
whole aesthetic.
Yeah,
the whole neon, colorful,
I was about to say
kind of synthy sort of thing going on.
Yeah, you know, when you talk
100%.
about this, I mean, this is really like modern, you know, modern 1980s Miami. You know, they get that's so vibrant and colorful, and like you said, synthy. So there's a little bit of a techno vibe to it, you know, but. I mean, it really fits well with everywhere that they were at, though. Like, I don't think, you know, I think the only thing that was ever out of place, I mean, it was needed was like just him. How about him just on a horse chasing down guys to begin off the film?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was like, wow. I'm like, I'm already roped in.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what the fuck's going on. And I'm like, let's go.
So I will say I was a little bit worried towards the beginning of the movie so you get the scene with him on the horse, the very first scene, like after... You know, John Wick is like, "Oh, I'm back," or he's like, "Yeah," and like,
it's a motherfucking king.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne comes in, he gives that whole monologue, that whole speech, and then you get the horses with the sunrise, and it's really cool looking. And he shoots the guys on the horse, and then he kills the elder because he doesn't have his ring, and then you get a lot of character introductions. Obviously, you're being introduced to new characters that are going to play a big role in the movie. You've got the Marquis.
Yep.
You've got Donnie Yen.
Yep.
You've got the Tracker.
Yep.
You've got the Osaka Continental with Koji and Akira. Like you've got all those characters that you're being introduced to and like their relationships and how they form. And it's like,
right.
Okay, we're getting a lot of that, but it's taking like 25 minutes to set all this up, and I was a little bit worried that the movie was going to try to focus more on like the characters and story versus the action as a replacement. But
you're doing strategy in your head.
I was thinking, okay, people are giving this movie a lot of praise. I know there's going to be some banger action scenes that are coming up soon, but I feel like I just got to be a little patient because the writing has never been the strongest in John Wick. Yeah. In terms of like the characters or the story.
I've always, well, you're really looking, I mean, so like one-dimensional but not one-dimensional, you know, but I mean like, yeah. That's,
like they're interesting characters, but at the same time, they don't have a lot of depth.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, the Tracker's a tracker. It's not like we need to know about his whole background, how he became the Tracker. He's Mr. Nobody. You know? Now, the relationship he has with his dog and kind of some of his antics, yeah, that's same with Kane. Kane, you know, he's just got a daughter and he's got to kill John to keep his daughter alive. Like, you don't get much more than that, and they're friends, you know? And then his antics kind of provide some of that. This guy's, you know, he's been around the block a couple times and knows that he's better than everyone else. Like, that's always come. You don't need too much of the dialogue. I've always had the problem with this film is that there's always like, it's like a storyline, but a lot of the events that happen there aren't throwbacks to it. It's like a piece of paper. You walk, you read it, you crumble up, you throw it out.
Yes, and there's a lot of elements in not just this movie, but in the other movies that feel a lot like that.
I was about to say the first one. I was like a totally 100% down when that goes on because I'm like, I love this. Straightforward. We're focusing on the action and a lot of like everything else going on, right?
Yes.
And then the second and the third one felt like they were trying to be a little bit more grandiose with it, and like we're gonna try to tie it in a little bit more. And you start to see when you're developing these worlds and these universes, it's a lot harder to do the throwbacks.
Yes.
And I feel like this one, they were like, we're going back to it, straight line. Grab it. Osaka Continental, great. Friends, done. The daughter in this thing. I thought she was going to come back at some point.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping because I really liked her.
She was cool. I mean, but it felt the reason why I was happy they didn't because it felt like the narrative they were pushing for of straight line, one track. We're going down this thing, and that's why they didn't. And it's kind of, and I appreciated that because it's like, all right, they feel more focused with this with the script.
Yes,
John Wick doesn't have a whole lot of talking parts. Anything he says just drives towards what he's gonna do.
Keanu Reeves fought for his character to have less dialogue in this movie.
No shit.
Which,
Yeah,
I mean, there's kind of a reason for that. But,
if I was an actor, I would be like, yeah, just pay me a bunch of money, and I don't want to do a whole lot of talking. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him at all.
Especially with all the choreography that he's got to do, though. He's probably like, I don't want to get into John Wick mind frame.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, I totally see that as something too. But you're right in that, like, not only this movie, in a lot of movies, a lot of the stuff that they touch on is like it comes and goes. Mm-hmm. So like you've got Aurelio from the first and the second movie, but never comes back. Mm-hmm. You've got Common's character from the second movie that, maybe he'll come back because John Wick let him live. Like, nope, you don't see him again.
Right.
You've got, maybe you'll see the Doctor again. Nope. I think you saw enough of him in chapter 3 to kind of, get that point across. But like I'm saying, there's elements of things that you think they might come back, but they don't, because the movies are just focused on the goal within themselves. And then whatever comes just comes. And if it stays around, cool. But if it goes, that's totally okay.
Right.
Not to say that there isn't like callbacks or things that have been in previous movies that they implement in this, like when Donnie Yen pulls out the pencil and stabs the guy, and obviously the legend with the pencil, he killed 3 men in a bar with a fucking pencil, and then it's funny because I was you're gonna
know some of these like little Easter eggs more than I am.
I'm gonna know a lot. I'm gonna kind of Easter egg dump right now. So listening to Chad Stahelski's interview, he actually met Joe Rogan somewhere, and Joe Rogan was like, hey man, I love your movies, it's great, blah blah blah, hey, you need to get the cars back in there, man. And Chad Stahelski was like, okay, what kind of car? And then Joe Rogan told him what kind of car, and then that car ends up in chapter 4.
Is that the muscle car that he's driving that completely gets
I'm pretty
destroyed?
sure it is. Yeah,
that thing sounded awesome.
Oh yeah. I there's a good subsection of people that love these movies just because of the cars. Like, when I showed a friend these movies, he got the most excited when they would show the muscle cars on screen.
This movie feels kind of like a little like when it first came out, it was like, we're going to grab your 45-year-old dad, and then like any college kid that's like fucking 28 headshots.
Yeah.
Like that's the demographic. And then like it had so much commercial success that they were like, hey, like let's make this a little bit smarter. Like let's build a little bit more into the universe, get a little bit more of the storyline going. And then it's like they came right back in this one. They said, you know what? We got those two demographics. We're also going to grab the fucking synthwave guys and get them in here with this techno music rock going, And
Chad Stahelski specifically said that they try to do their best in every aspect so that people who are fans of synth music can go, oh, they did their homework. Or people who are fans of guns can go, oh, they did their homework.
Yeah.
Muscle cars, they did their homework.
Yep.
Like, even people who are into like just mythology, like
that's
where I come in, I guess, like the world building aspect of it. Like, oh, cool, they did their homework. Like it's pretty impressive, honestly. And I think a part of that is just, I don't know, I love how grand this movie feels. I love how final it feels. And a big part of that is just how the movie ends, which we can talk about later towards the end of this discussion, I guess. But I loved it. Like, even too, just the fight scenes by themselves, I just loved. Like the whole German club fight scene, how like kind of almost video game boss sort of thing, like how it felt. Like I just absolutely loved it. The nunchuck fight was fun. It's like that's a big thing that I have appreciation for this movie versus chapter 3. It's like it feels like chapter 3 with the knife fight in the Chinese shop. It felt like they blew their load. Whereas this movie, you get the awesome Osaka fight with Akira. Donnie Yen's introduced, and he fights Koji. And then you've also got the German Fight Club scene. Really cool visuals, really awesome music going on, and Keanu's in this badass fucking nightclub hunting down Scott Adkins in a fat suit.
Yes.
And then you've got the Paris fights, which come in 3 stages, all unique and all really fucking memorable.
I can't believe you didn't even fucking reference the Warriors.
I know.
I'm like sitting there watching it. So he puts in the call, and I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna are they really doing this? Because in the trailer, I thought I saw it. I was like, I feel like they're going to have a little Warriors reference. So she does all the talking. I looked over at Jasmine and I go, they're going to play Nowhere to Run next. And next thing you know, they put on the fucking remix. I was like, oh!
So I couldn't remember how similar it was to the one in the Warriors. And someone had actually made a comparison video splicing the scenes up.
It's pretty close.
It's really faithful to it.
Yeah.
Like from the way it's shot to like the lines that she says, like, all right now for all you bumpers out there in the city,
all you big boppers out there listening in,
like she says the same exact kind of vernacular.
Well, they like lead in with it because what changed was obviously they're in Paris versus New York, so they got and there's like some different gangs, but like they held it to the same kind of jargon, or not jargon, but like whatever path or however you want to view it.
Yeah, like it feels like it's a proper homage to that scene.
Exactly. They didn't take anything different. All they did was switch out where they were at and some of the words, make it a little bit more modern.
Yeah,
like that was
just adjust it for that movie specifically.
I was wondering, I was like, are they going to do a line for line? I was like, no, they can't. And then, but dude, knocked out. Oh, it's awesome. And then they got the guys sitting down there because what really killed me was like when they started talking and then they show the different gangs that are listening in on this. I was like, oh.
Oh man, you probably felt like a giddy schoolboy.
Oh, dude, that was my favorite part. Was the whole Paris that fight scene. Like, I'm even in my head. I was like, when I was watching, I was like, I like the other fight scenes better. But just the fact that it was paying that homage to it, and that he's going through the city, and it's like took the Warriors the whole gang to get to the city, and he's got to do it by him fucking self.
Yeah, I looked over at my dad because I took my parents to see this on Saturday.
Yeah,
when I saw it for the 4th time, and I looked over at him when the Warriors part was coming on. I was like excited to see his reaction because he loves the Warriors too.
Oh yeah,
our Warriors discussion is the only podcast that he's listened to.
We'll get him when we do Terminator. I'm sure he'll hop in.
Oh yeah, when we do Terminator. Yeah, you're right. We're gonna do Terminator.
It'll happen at some point.
Yeah. It's inevitable.
Unless that's like some like movie you got stashed away and it says like April,
there's a specific
April
date.
29th.
It lines up with whatever happens in the movie.
2037.
Yeah. Hopefully I make it that long. Oh boy. But yeah, no, just like, I don't know. It just felt like it kept up in the ante, and every fight scene felt so in of its own world, but still kind of consistent with what the movie was. So like you've got the roundabout fight scene, which is fucking cool. Cool use of the cars.
Oh yeah.
And Chad Stahelski said that a lot of those cars were just real cars. Like that, what they did was they set up lanes, like color-coded lanes, that these specific vehicles would have to drive through. Stunt guys were actually getting hit by cars.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they had to wear like protective padded suits in order to, withstand the impact for the most part.
Yep.
And they just had to trust that the stunt drivers in their proper lanes knew what they were doing. And a lot of it just goes into the choreography of it, like being in your proper place, like navigating through, like it felt like a Frogger level almost, like just the way that these guys were trying to dodge these cars. And then you've got the apartment fight scene.
That one was my favorite.
That one was absurdly good.
When you said they had a Hotline Miami shot, I was like, I in my head, I was like, oh yeah, like I know what he's talking about, but I couldn't like, dude, that camera starts pulling up. I'm like, this is fucking sick.
Yeah, when they have a God's eye overhead view of Keanu Reeves with the dragon breath shotgun.
Yes,
that was so cool. And they knew that they wanted to use the dragon breath gun, but they weren't sure like how exactly to implement it. But they figured that the best area to use it in would be in that scene because you get to see like the awesome muzzle flash and like just the bright explosion of it, and it's easy to track on the screen. And as soon as they did that like camera shot with the fucking club music, I was like, that's Hotline Miami. That looks so fucking cool.
Yes.
And I don't think I've seen anything in a movie like that outside of just like a still shot of like someone's apartment for like a couple seconds. Like the only thing I can think of is there's a scene in El Camino that I won't get into specifics of it because it would be a spoiler.
Oh, but that's probably close.
Yeah, that's like the closest one I can think of.
Nothing like this. Nothing that's choreographed like this.
No,
I mean like that's a cat and mouse. Like this is like. This was really impressive because they're going room to room, and I mean he's like fighting guys, and you got to be ready for the next guy popping up.
Yeah,
I mean it felt like a video game you're watching.
I can't wait for the Blu-ray to come out so I can see like the making of like the whole set.
Yes.
and like just what went into it, because it looks absolutely insane. Like the budget of this was like $100 million, which I mean they made their money back hand over fist at this point. But that scene was awesome. You've got the flight of stairs
scene was
not only very symbolic of John Wick's journey, but just a cool fight scene.
Yeah,
in of its own right.
I would say that would probably be number 3. I wasn't as enamored with it, but still, nonetheless, I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
to have those shots and do it on those stairs. Like that whole Paris scene is just insane. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, those were real stunt guys going down the stairs, like tumbling down.
Dude, I feel like Chad Stahelski looks like grabs every one of those guys. He's like, listen, motherfucker, I did this. Yeah. You're gonna go down those steps.
Yeah.
Hand over head. Fucking take it like a man.
I lead by example, and I've done it all.
Oh my god! What if he just did like one of those things too, where he's like on the edge of it, and the guy's like staring at him, and he does like a standing Jesus fall backwards just to tumble.
Yeah,
and he like just tumbles down the whole thing
just to show him up.
Yeah, just to be like,
as a
this is
move.
why I'm directing, and you're still a fucking stunt double.
Yeah, you'll never be where I'm at.
Yeah, if you guys want it, take it, and then they all just start hurtling themselves.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, he said that the stunt guy, his name is Vincent, the stunt guy for Keanu, who had to go down those flight of stairs.
Yeah.
He did it. He had to do it basically 2 times. Go down that whole flight.
You can't make me.
Because I think he went down half of it, and then he accidentally stopped, or something happened. He got off course.
Right.
And then the second time he did it was just one shot. Like the camera tracking him as he's falling, you can kind of tell that it's having trouble keeping up with how fast he's going.
Oh yeah.
Because that's exactly how he explained it went.
I think they had probably 4 cameras set up or something like that. Because I remember there being multiple kind of track, and then another shot kind of grabbing it. So he must have had everyone following it and spliced it at some this. It's all here, Yeah, no, it was watching that thing. I was like, I don't know. I didn't even think about a stunt double falling down the steps. I was actually did someone fall down these steps? This isn't a. We're going to put a slide here on a green screen and just and then take that body tumbling down and superimpose it on some stairs.
Yeah, no, it was this actual dude going down flight of stairs. I was wondering how they were doing it too as I was watching it, because I was like, did they replace the steps with foam? Did they put padding there or something and then CGI it out or something? But I guess that it's just the protective padded suit that he had. And then just rolling down the stairs, and then there you go.
You won't hit your neck on anything. That life insurance policy that he signed before probably was a nice little chunk of change.
The stack of waivers for this movie must be insane.
Oh, they're still going through it.
Yeah. They haven't fully finished signing yet.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. Did you want to talk about the end of the movie?
Sure. I didn't.
Ending.
I was so. So I watched your review on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, full disclosure, I see John Wick Chapter 4 coming out. Like I said, it's kind of 1 was really good. 2 and 3 were, I think I gave them 7s or 8s. They got a little bit too involved with themselves. And I'm like, all right, here comes the final conclusion. Not really. This is either going to go...
It's how good can you be with a 4th film in the series?
Well, I mean, it's either going to go... You got to go action-packed, or you got to completely dive into the... And I don't really remember exactly what happened from 2 and 3. So this was... To me, I was like, great. This is going to be a come and gone. Another 7 out of 10. I'm sure that'll be a little bit different. So I didn't have high hopes. And then I saw your review on it, and I was like, all right, if Kyle's giving this thing praise, and I don't think you just do it just to do it,
Right.
And then I saw your ending, and you said, we'll see if they talked about John Wick Chapter 5, blah, 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 and I'm like, okay. So the whole time this ending's coming on, I'm like, all right, I wonder how he's going to get out of this, what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then, boom.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of there.
Yeah. So the end with the dueling pistols, because John Wick, how he figures out he's going to get out is he challenges the Marquis to a duel, because...
In old scripture, you're allowed to do it if you're... with the family and branded by a family, right?
And that's why he was at the German nightclub, was to get back with the Rumaroska. And he challenges the Marquis to a duel. The Marquis nominates Donnie Yen Kane to be the guy that Keanu duels with, because that's his right as the challenged to, put forward a nomination. And then they have their duel, and it's a fucking great scene. And a lot of people in my theater just like cheered when Bill Skarsgård got shot in the head.
Yeah.
Because like there's a lot of people that were like cheering and clapping at certain moments in this movie. Like the second in command when the tracker comes up to him and he goes nuts, and then the dog bites him on the nuts.
Oh yeah.
Shoots him in the head. Dog pisses on the head. Like people were clapping so much during that scene.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah,
what a piece of shit.
Right, yeah, it was
like,
a lot of that, and then
all right, everyone. He can't hear you.
J Hall, good friend of the pod, would fucking hate it.
Oh my god, yeah. I could see J Hall getting up and not even seeing the ending. Like this is where he stops like listening to the pod because he still has to finish it.
I hate everybody.
Yeah.
Puts it down.
I only went inside. There was like 15 people when I saw it, so there was a little. I laughed. I don't think I ever clapped, but it was definitely like, nice.
Yeah.
Actually, I openly said, "Damn," when that dog started peeing on that guy.
Yeah. Disrespect.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's like I was like, "Oh, damn."
And then again, when Bill Skarsgård gets shot, the theater just like the first and the second time I saw it, it was like a lot of applause.
Yeah,
like people just loved the fact that Keanu finally got his revenge and his way out, essentially. And then, spoiler alert, Keanu Reeves, John Wick, he dies.
Yeah,
he's dead.
Gone.
He goes, Winston, Jonathan, will you take me home? Of course. And then he goes down the stairs, and he goes, Helen, and he goes, "Eh," and then he dies.
Yeah,
like. I'm really happy that at the very least this movie has a definitive ending. Like it's got somewhere where you can go, okay, there's a story with all these 4 films, and you can watch this 4th one and you can stop, and if they ever make more and they're not good, you can just go, okay, at least the 4th one has an ending.
Yes.
At least this is a place where I can stop and go, awesome. I don't have to continue watching, because I don't know. There's always the risk of movies going for too long and becoming stale, especially when you have action movies, like take the Taken series, for example.
There's and all of them. This is the only one that I've really seen that's been like, wow.
Yeah. Like maybe other than like the original Bourne trilogy. And I say original because the other movies aren't great.
I mean, even Bourne's 1 through 3, like, maybe I need to revisit.
I'd be curious to revisit those ones because I really like them. But, if they ever make more, which they might because this movie made gangbusters. Like, Lionsgate has come out and said, like, we're not ready to say goodbye to John Wick.
See, that's where I could see, like, the tracker coming in. I could see they have avenues. Mm-hmm. Or they pull Keanu. I don't think that Keanu can't do another one of these things, though. I don't think.
I'm getting worried. Because he's almost 60.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, as much spirit and as much youth as he has, like, emotionally,
dude, this one,
he's getting older.
Had spots where I was like, I could tell, like, it's like a half a second, like, get down, flipping you over.
Yeah.
Like there was some of the moments where I was like, because I was like, when I was trying to think of like negative things, I was like, that was so. Anyway, Keanu getting older, and they kind of, it's not like they left it open ended. I mean, there's a gravestone there and everything, but they do have the, hey, where do you think he's at, heaven or hell? And it's like, don't know.
Yeah.
And they kind of play a little bit of a music, so a little riff, and it's like, all right, are we doing like a Batman thing here?
Yeah.
Or
it's like so many people look at the scene where the dog like looks up and goes like, and they think that it's the dog looking at John Wick in the distance, like he's standing by a tree or something, and he's not
really?
actually dead. Yeah, people take that shot and they go, "See, he's not dead. The dog perked up because he saw his owner. He saw John Wick." And it's like, I don't know about that, but if they ever continue making movies, sure, maybe.
I got a feeling like, one, I thought this ending was great. I really liked it.
I really liked how it ended.
When he said, Winston, if I ever die, I just want you to put loving husband. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And then when he said that, I was like, I wonder if he's going.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like, you kind of had that. It's like a little bit of a, But your review, so I wasn't even thinking that he's going to die. I just was like, oh.
I tried to phrase it in a way that didn't indicate death.
Yes, well, you did. You did a great job because like the whole time I'm sitting there, I was like so fucking confused because he says that, and I was like, that's interesting. I was like, maybe it's just one of those things where guys, you know, say like, if I ever die, you know, put on my gravestone, didn't take shit, you know, but like it never happens.
Killed 3 men in a bar with a pencil.
Yeah. So, I went, so he, you know, keels over and it's like, oh, nice. He's going to have this like little, and then they actually show the gravestone and then I was like, it's touching. And that's a really simple, elegant way of saying something because, you know, his loving wife and then loving husband. And he's finally reunited with her. And it was very, very simple to the point and like I said, I mean, eloquent.
Yes. Felt proper.
Yeah.
And, before we wrap this up, I just want to touch on this real quick. Speaking of death, Lance Reddick passed away a week before this movie came out.
He's from The Wire, so that's where I really know him from. Yeah. I always liked his work in there. Obviously, he's got these under his belt. I don't know too much more of his work.
He has a lot of fans that play Destiny because he was in Destiny, the video game.
Oh, he had
he's a character in that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought it was really interesting that they kill him off within the first 2 minutes of the thing. And I was like, I wonder if he had health problems. Because yes and no. Yes, you could do it. No, you didn't. You could do it and be fine. His whole death didn't really perpetuate the plot at all.
No, it was more for Winston's character. And I don't know. Kind of.
It's the fourth fucking film, though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
If it's the second one, like, oh, man, like that's... You know, we're going Game of Thrones style here. Like the fourth film.
Well, it's also there to kind of show you how villainous Bill Skarsgård is. Like, oh shit, he just shot a character that's been in every one of the movies. Like,
yeah, but that's my point. Like, I think there's other ways I could have did that without. I'm just curious if his health issues were
contributing to.
Yeah, and it was like, hey man, like why don't you go get healthier? What like you'll be in the film. We got you for a couple scenes, but like outside of that, you get your mind right or get your body right. Whatever you got to do. I was just curious because I don't know how he passed. Was it a heart attack or did he have some long lingering disease?
It wasn't a heart attack. It did have to do with his heart, but I think it had more to do with like his like blood cell count. Let me verify.
Oh, I wonder if he had sickle cell anemia.
I don't remember. I read about it yesterday and I've completely forgotten about it.
Oh, you got ready for the pod and then you fucking just dropped the ball.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful now. Okay, so yeah, Reddick died from so he had heart disease. So yeah, it was heart related issue. But I don't know if it was specifically a heart attack or not. But from what I've read, it doesn't seem like something that they knew was going to happen.
Right. That I was just curious. I mean, obviously, it's kind of like one of those things. If he's still alive, I'm sitting here going like, yeah, they're showing how evil Bill Skarsgård is.
Yeah.
You know, like it's. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like with the events of what happened, it made me curious. Not to the point to look it up. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
You know.
Rest in peace, Lance Reddick.
Yeah.
One of the few characters that has been in every single John Wick movie.
I think the people in my like theater too, like when he came on the screen, like applauded or gasped for like kind of. It's like one of those things. Where there's like 15 people, but enough to like I heard enough like, you know, that I was like, oh, this is important.
Also, have you seen his interview on Eric Andre?
Mm-mm.
I would suggest people look that up because that is really fucking funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lance Reddick, Eric Andre. It'll be the first video that pops up. Do yourself a favor and watch it because it's really fucking good. I don't even watch Eric Andre really, but yeah. I don't know. I think it's really cool.
All right.
It kind of shows you the sense of humor that he had too.
Right.
Yeah. If you want to learn more about Lance Reddick. Was there anything else we wanted to say about John Wick 4 before we move on, or should we?
No, I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Bill Skarsgård, phenomenal job. I thought his acting, his French accent, was gonna throw me off. Like I just
call it the first and the last rule of life.
Yeah. Like when he
you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah. What my father always said, how you do anything is how you do everything.
It was compelling, but I was like, what is he saying?
But I thought it was like, I was like, why do we have this guy? Like, I don't even think, they're Swedish, right?
Yeah.
Like the Skarsgårds are Swedish. Like they have like a Swedish accent.
Uh-huh.
And they struggle with the American accent. And I'm like, why are we...
Give him a little bit of flavor, a little bit of baguette flavor, you know. Escargot.
I thought he did a great job. I thought he was menacing enough, and I was like, some of the shit he was saying was confusing enough to be like, wow, he really is a bad guy. No idea what he's talking about, just fucking terror.
Yeah, I enjoyed him in the movie quite a bit. So, what would you rate it?
This is an easy 9 out of 10.
Nice.
I thoroughly enjoyed this.
I'm so glad.
Me and the beautiful Jasmine saw this, and she told me going into she was like, I'm gonna take a nap in this thing, and I was like, she's like, if I start snoring, can you wake me up? And I looked at her and I said, if you start snoring, I'm gonna move down 3 seats.
So did she fall asleep?
No, she stayed awake the whole time, and like we got done, she was like, I thought that was good, and I was like, wow, that's a great for 2.5 hours, like 2 hours and 50 minutes of action and not fall asleep. Me, I was blown away.
I know.
I never got to a point where I was like, what time is it? I was like, where are we at with what is going to happen? The scenes, the set, the production, the choreography. I mean, everything, dude. Like, you watch this thing and it's just like you're at a buffet table. Mm-hmm. You know, there's so much to choose from that you can sink your teeth into. And like you said, they do their homework on everything. So there's enough there that you could probably, like, if I wanted to look up those muscle cars, I could probably find 3 different muscle cars that were in this thing and figure out how, like, what they had to do to make sure that whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then they got the Warriors, they pay the Warriors homage, and not only do they just do it in one, it's not one scene, it's not, hey, it's continued throughout.
It's a whole scene, like montage, like.
It's an hour of he's going through the city of Paris, and you got the DJ, the disc jockey going over and going like, hey, we're up to this scene next.
Looks like the boys in black couldn't get it done. Let's see who picks it up.
Yeah, that's what I like, but it's fun. Like they easily could have just had it. You know, they play nowhere to run, and that's it. And then it's on to the next, and then she's there to break it up and say, you know. So, anyways, yes, 9 out of 10. This
awesome.
is pretty close to like a 10 out of 10, honestly. I think the only thing that I would say the reason why it's not for me is a lot of the dialogue is just driving towards the plot, so there's not much depth behind it, and I think that's the only thing that, like, when I think about this thing, it's not going to be maybe your angle might be a little different than mine, but I'm going to think more about this in terms of like if I was like, you want to make a good action film like Cocaine Bear, I'd be like, this is like, try to mimic this as much as you can. Mm-hmm. Like to me, this is a perfect this is a 10 out of 10 action film. You know, point A to point B. Minimal dialogue that drives towards the plot. None of the storylines take away from the main character either. There isn't. They could have easily went down a curious path and followed her a little bit and said, like, let's watch her go through this. No, she said it. She killed that guy. Gone. See you later. You know. So
absolutely awesome. Yeah, this is also a really solid 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah,
I fucking love this. It's my favorite in the series. Really, my criticisms lie with the dialogue and the writing. It's never been the strongest. It's never been something that John Wick is known for. Right. But I was getting a little worried towards the beginning with the pacing and the character introductions and how a little expositionary it was.
Yeah.
But you kind of need that to get to the meat of it, which is the action, which is amazingly done. The tone of it. I just love the tone of these movies, too. Like, the whole kind of like neon sort of synthy, kind of like in your face
Neo Tokyo. Like, it's very, I mean, the colors are there, they got the vibe, they got the, I mean, you get like the rain coming down at dark with the vibrancy of the colors, and it's just pulsating, you know, like it's brilliant.
I absolutely love it.
But I mean, then you get into Osaka, the museum, and all the different colors and the, you know, the artifacts in there that they got and the different designs, like a lot of it. Yes, and Jesus Christ. And then they go into the fucking Bill Skarsgård when he brings Kane in there, and the opulence of it all.
Oh yeah, just the sets alone and the locations, So good.
Even the costumes. Like, I mean, Skarsgård's always, he had a tie that had 3 different fucking wrinkles on it.
Yeah.
Did you see that thing?
Yeah, like his,
it looked like
his
a tiny little ruffle
Bill
up there.
Skarsgård was dripped out this whole movie.
Unreal. I was like sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck,
he had
man?
the best wardrobe out of anybody.
One of the coolest tracking shots too is him walking down the paintings.
Oh yeah, when Winston's going down the Louvre.
But all I was thinking was like, I bet you they picked a certain spot. So if I looked up those paintings, they would explain certain events that either John Wick's had or is happening or reflects Skarsgård.
That painting, the one that they're at in front of the couch, The Cost of Tyranny.
Yes.
Bill Skarsgård's whole character is he's being tyrannical and he craves power.
Yeah.
Like it's a reflection of him.
Yeah, even Winston, I love too how they don't even have to, like, Winston just points it out and says, you better watch out.
Mm.
And he goes, I do not care.
You must want to join your concierge.
Yeah. You know what they say about the second to power.
A man second, much like his sponsor, either walks out with his trophy or is buried beside him.
Yeah.
The old ways. Yeah. I love it. I love how cocky he is.
Yes.
9 out of 10. Great. This is probably one of our longest, like, single movie discussions that I think we've had.
Oh, I'm sure.
In a while. Like,
it was great. This is 2 hours and 50 minutes of fun.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I don't think it's hard to bash it. I'm serious. Like, I'll probably throw this on again at some point. Like, some point, like, when it comes out, just readily available. Mm-hmm. Like, it kind of reminds me of how I felt after Top Gun Maverick. Like, I was like the same thing. Like, production, the sound design, the characters, everything's moving towards a point. There isn't any bullshit outside. Even, I mean, Top Gun a little bit with the love interest, but they don't play into it a whole lot, you know? Mm-hmm. But this has the same feeling for me where I'm like, yeah. I like, even Top Gun I'd probably want to see in theaters more just because, like, just to hear the whoosh,
yeah, you
know? But, like, this is like one that it's like, man, like, very simple. And it's not like I'm saying like I'm dumb and it's easy to follow, but like they could have easily went into way worse
They could have made
places.
it fucking convoluted.
Oh my God, yes. And brought in shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gideon and Lauren loved this movie. Like, Lauren gave this a 9 out of 10. Like,
yeah,
it's amazing like how much appeal a movie like this has, you know. Mm-hmm. Back like probably 10 years ago, you would see a movie like this and go like, oh, this is just like a machismo, like this is just a guy's movie, you know. This is a whatever, like, dude bro movie. But no, there's things about these films that like a lot of people can get different things out of, you know.
Yeah, this is a different take on the action films, I think, because I mean, anytime when I hear bro machismo, I'm like Fast and Furious, like you want to know, cars and like, but that is targeted for one specific set of people. I'm just saying, like, action in of its, like, as a genre, you know. This, because of what they do with the choreography and they don't make it silly, this has a real life feel.
Oh, yeah, it elevates it so much.
And anyone, man or woman, you can feel a little, you don't have to, it's not necessarily, it is Mortal Kombat, but you don't have to make it feel like Mortal Kombat. Mm-hmm. You know, this has a person that it has a goal that is trying to get by, and however you want to project on what's going on, because you could take it as an analogy, a metaphor, whatever you want it to view it as. But as a person, you can watch this and get a lot of what's happening. Jackie Chan's silly. You know, the Fast and Furious shit, like if they're fighting, it's all fist to fist, brute combat. Like, this is actually a realistic look at how this would go. And I think it fascinates a lot of people just because, I mean, you want to see how it looks. And they keep it at a real life level. I can't even think about the fucking word, but yes.
Grounded.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Much like Keanu when he jumps out of that window. Grounded.
Oh, on the fucking...
on the car.
Yeah, that was just... yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Speaking of grounded, the opposite of being in the ground is in the air, and there's a lot of flying stuff in the air, and dragons can fly. I'm, of course, talking about the dragons from Reign of Fire, which is your recommendation.
Yes.
So...
Oh, God, it feels great.
You can tackle this one since I got John Wick.
All right. So it's 2002, Reign of Fire, directed by Rob Bowman.
This was his last movie that he made.
No. He had Elektra. He made Elektra after this.
Oh, Elektra was after this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Elektra was 2000. Something in my head must have went off because I watched Daredevil when I was working at home last week. And like that's a movie. Have you ever seen that?
I've seen scenes from it.
That might be a recommended movie at some point that we have to talk about.
That's pretty epic.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but Elektra got a spin-off from it, which I was like, interesting. And then I saw that this guy directed it, and I just was like, man, R.I.P. I thought after, anyways, sorry. All right, directed by Rob Bowman, starring Matthew McConaughey, top bill as Van Damme or Van Zam.
It's interesting that he's top billed, but yes,
right. Wow, I read up on this stuff. So Christian Bale as Quinn, Isabella Scorupco as Alex, Gerard Butler as Creedy, and then a whole bunch of other people that you probably wouldn't recognize.
Yes, those are the big 4 players.
The only 4 players that you really care about.
Yeah, the only one that I didn't know was going to be in this movie, I mean, I guess besides Isabella Sorupko, is Gerard Butler. I had no idea he was going to be in this movie.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah, no, I watched this Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully Saturday night with a bucket of popcorn, maybe a Dr. Pepper.
Well, yeah, I might have had a little Dr. PP action, you know. Gotta get that caffeine in there, especially when it's late at night. And I'm setting the mood for modern day dragon movie.
Yeah.
Which, did you explain the plot of this, or?
So, no, I kind of almost did what you did with John Wick.
You got so excited you just jumped into the
ready
gift.
to go. Yeah. No, so this is Quinn. The beginning of the film is Quinn starts off as a young lad going to talk to his mom about getting kicked out of some school and not having enough money to stay in the school, and a crevice in the earth opens up, and they're like, you need to come check this out. And one of the foremen down there, who hates the kid for no fucking reason, was like, hey, Quinn, why don't you go in there, you little shit?
Yeah.
You know, like for no, anyways.
Fuck you, we believe in child labor.
Yeah. I was like, this is so weird. Why don't you just make him happy-go-lucky too? Everyone else likes a kid.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, it's really, this guy's menacing, so he's going to send him in a hole. If that guy would have been like, Quinn, what's going on? I'm too big to get in here. Come on, I'll give you a Snickers
It's like
when
the
you get out.
second villain of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, piece of shit. And he goes in there and they discover a dragon. And then, you know, we get this is what's going on with the world today, and we find out that we're living in a post-apocalyptic 2020 world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, like, this movie was ahead of its time in a lot of different ways. But yes, continue.
Yeah, so no, that's about it. And then, you know, I mean, we'll just take it off from there. I saw this in 2002 when it first came out. I think we rented this. You know, 12 years old. I mean, you couldn't have fucking picked a better target market.
You were at ground zero.
Dude, ready. I was so ready for this.
You were primed.
Oh my God. I didn't know who I don't know who Matthew McConaughey was. I didn't really know who. No one really knew Christian Bale. Gerard Butler, please.
Yeah.
You know, like, so this is just a bunch of no-name people just in Ireland, you know, with dragons. And yeah. So
Modern day dragons.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I don't even know where to start, Kyle. So where would you like to start?
Oh man, this movie's so fucking dumb, but
wow,
I kind of love it. Like,
yes,
I kind of really like this movie.
Let's go.
Like,
let's go.
It's not great.
Not at all.
I don't even know if I'd say it's good, but
dude, this movie's gotten worse in terms of watching it since I was 12.
Yeah, it's
I watched it last night.
Product of the time. Yeah,
100%. Well, and there's plenty of things to throw in here, and I watched it. So this is the second time I've seen this film in the last 2 months, because it's on HBO, and I'm at work. I throw on movies, so I threw this on, and I was like, oh shit, Gerard Butler's in here, and I watched it at work, and I was like, oh God, the action scenes are awesome. And then last night I watched this thing in the entirety, and yeah, man, the script of this thing is just, whew.
So it's first of all, a lot of the scenes, just the action scenes on their own, they're so over the top. They're so fucking goofy. It like you've got like parajumpers that are like diving through the cloudy skies. The archangels,
archangels were awesome. That scene alone is like why I was like, I gotta recommend this. I just want to hear about the archangels.
It felt like I was watching a fucking anime. The way they were flying through the air, like arms behind them, like full diving, head first, like holy shit.
Well, that's how and then they pop up and it's the parachute, right? Or I don't even know if they had the flaps.
Yeah, like the one guy that gets like
seconds. I can't do my Scottish accent. 17 seconds. Okay. That's all you got.
Neither can I.
Yeah, I was practicing so hard too.
Yeah,
because that used to be like that. I'm literally like one of the only things I remember from. Well, I shouldn't say only things I remember. I remember a lot about the film, but one thing that always stood out to me was I thought it was 12 or 11 seconds, 17 seconds.
It's the average lifespan of a archangel or whatever it is they say.
That's just right there. The average lifespan of an archangel. We're taking down dragons.
God, it's so absurd. Like the dragons flying out. It's like super fast paced. And that's kind of something that I admire about this movie.
Yes.
Is that like I don't think you're going to get another movie like this now. Like this movie,
no, they'd have to explain it. They'd have to go through and do the science on the dragons. Like they kill one of them.
They don't do any of that. They just fucking like the most they go is like this one's male, this one's female. It's like okay, cool. And then they just accept the bad CGI. They accept the absurdity of
at the time though. You got to understand like that
the premise.
That CGI at the time was like decent CGI.
Well, yes,
yeah.
And there were some parts of it where I was like, oh, okay, that looks kind of cool, interesting.
Yeah.
But regardless, I commend them for just going for it and not giving a shit about like anything holding them back. Because like you try to make a movie like that now, a studio would have to think like, oh, do we have the budget for the CGI? Do we have to make the dragons look as good as possible? We have to explain how the dragons work. Like we have to give so much exposition.
$300 million like they thought they had, and then that thing, or maybe it was 120 million. They cut it in half to 60.
Yeah,
that's all he had to work with.
$60 million.
Yeah,
that's less than the last two John Wick movies.
Yeah. Like and we're talking about flying dragons.
Yeah.
And they go make it work.
Like it's I don't know, like it's fucking fun. Like the action's really goofy. The fucking characters are really fucking goofy.
Man, so goofy.
So when Matthew McConaughey showed up, I didn't know it was him because
oh really?
Like I'd never seen him with his head shaved before.
Right.
And this was pre-Dallas Buyers Club when he lost all that weight and then like really didn't gain a whole lot of it back. Like he looks different now. But
he's a little skinnier.
He's a little skinnier, but back then he was fucking ripped and he comes out.
I think he was juiced for this one. Like
I wouldn't be surprised.
This is like the biggest I think he's Sahara, he's not this big.
No. Sahara, he looks like normal Matthew McConaughey.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think he kind of was like, I'm going to take this thing by the fucking horns.
Yeah. And then, this movie comes out and he's got a shaved head. He's covered in tattoos, like these, like, really dated, like, early 2000s, like, tattoos you'd see in a biker bar kind of tattoos.
No, it was Polynesian tattoos. He wanted to honor, like, the Samoans. Samoans, right? They're from Polynesia.
I don't know.
Anyways, Polynesian tattoos. It's from a rugby team. It's like a union rugby team. They're called the All Black team.
Okay.
So he took they're all tatted up. So he took that. He actually had to spend 3 more hours in makeup because they had to fucking paint it on him.
Wow.
Yeah. Like he went over the top for this thing.
Yeah. You're telling me. You're telling me,
dude,
man.
Did you? So. Because I'm going to keep just dropping it. I had to read up on this. I was like, they got to have some juice on this, right?
Bestow me with your knowledge because I'm curious.
Yeah, well, so one of the assistant directors, one of the only stories he has to tell about this, but he got a phone call that he had to relay to the cast and crew without McConaughey there. But he went down there and he said, listen, guys, if you see Matt, like on the streets of Dublin, if you see him like on set, in trailer, in camp, whatever, you can't call him Matt. You have to call him Van Zam. And they're like,
he method acted for this movie.
Yeah, like Gerard Butler was like, yeah, and he can fucking call me Creedy. He goes, yeah, I wish he could, but we're all gonna call him Van Zam. Like, Yeah, he got into like that next level.
Oh my god.
Well, and so he puts on all that weight. I didn't get into why he did it. I think it was just because like they called themselves the Irregulars, the Kentucky Irregulars, which is actually a militia term in Ireland because you're not part of the army. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, I think he might have took that on, but Christian Bale was gonna first time probably ever. He's like, I'm gonna drop down to 80 pounds. Because we're in a post-apocalyptic world. There's no food. Like Christian Bale actually being like a smart, in the time guy. Like I'm gonna look like, and then he saw Matt McConaughey. And he's like, "Fuck that! I'm gonna be like," because he knew they had a fight scene
compared to him.
They had to make it look realistic. So he's like, "Could you imagine like the machinist Christian Bale going against McConaughey?"
No, he'd break him, fucking absolutely snap him like a twig.
Yeah,
Matthew McConaughey though, like it was so weird because it was hard for me to recognize him as Matthew McConaughey, but then he would talk and then be like, okay, that's Matthew McConaughey. Like,
all right.
As soon as he opened his mouth, I was like, okay, this is the fucking guy from what's that movie where he says that line? All right.
Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, this is Dazed and Confused Matthew McConaughey. This is like, I'm having such a hard time believing he's like some musclehead. Like he looks like a musclehead, he's acting like a musclehead, but at the end of the day, it's Matthew McConaughey, and I don't know. I can't really take him seriously. Like it kind of adds to the goofiness of it for me.
It's so funny too because they talked about how he got top. One thing I want to bring up too.
Yes, how do you get top billing? Because Christian Bale's like the main character.
So how this got started? First off, Touchstone Pictures. Do you know anything about Touchstone?
They're a production company. That's all I know.
They're under the Walt Disney. They're under the Disney name. They shut down in 2017. They no longer exist.
I was gonna say I feel like I don't really see many movies with that logo anymore.
Right. And so I think they use Touchstone. Disney bought them out to produce some of their more heavier, deeper films, the PG-13R films that they couldn't do. They didn't want to associate with the Disney name. Mm-hmm. But they still want to get the profits. So they had this come out. This is going to be like a kickoff of Touchstone's like Monster Tales or something like that. And Matthew McConaughey actually heard about this and reached out and wanted to be a part of the project. And he was coming off, I think what was happening is he wanted to come off, and he was coming off The Wedding Planner and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, I think. Like around that time, like he had a couple films where he just wasn't very soft Matthew McConaughey.
That movie where he lives with his parents.
Sure.
Failure to Launch.
No, that was a little after that.
Oh,
Failure to Launch, I think, is 05. Yeah, Kate Hudson.
I thought it was the chick from Sex and the City. I thought it was...
you can look it up.
Yeah,
if it's Failure to Launch.
Yeah, I don't care that much.
So, anyways, but Christian Bale wasn't like a name at the time. Mm-hmm. In 2002, he hadn't done Batman. Kind of kicked him off.
Like the biggest thing he'd probably done was American Psycho, right? Because that came out
99.
I think so.
Yeah, and that's like, and you got to think American Psycho. Like he did a great job, but it's not. It
wasn't like a huge at the time,
right?
Probably sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm sure people recognize it. So, anyways, the studio wanted them to get Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sly Stallone. And Rob Bowman, dude, I admire this movie so much more now after reading about some of this stuff too, because this guy just sounds like a guy that's like, I know what it's gonna be, and I'm gonna try to do the best I can, and I'm also gonna make sure I do the best I can. Because they wanted Stallone or Arnold, and
they wanted like the action guys.
And he walked up, he goes, I know you guys want, but he's like, at the end of the day, it's a dragon fighting a guy, and we know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
like I want there to be some. So he got Christian Bale because he's like, no one knows this guy. We could easily kill him off. McConaughey could be the one that ends up defeating these things, and you don't really know. It keeps a little bit more of the mystery about the story of what's going on, and when they get to those final scenes. So that's why he went out and sought Christian Bale, and he goes out and they get dinner. And Christian Bale came to the Four Seasons in Ireland or whatever. He's like, Christian Bale walks up and he's like, what are we gonna do with this?
Oh, holding the script up.
Yeah. And Rob Bowman looks at him and goes like, I know, I will fix it. I'll make it better. He goes, tell me how. What are you gonna do with this? And it's so funny because, like, yeah, the script is fucking tragically bad.
Yeah, no, this is not a movie that you would expect in Christian Bale's filmography. Like,
Not at all.
It's way out of like what he would normally do.
He gets one of the reporters or something like that asked if there was gonna be a sequel. He goes, "Very well, could be. I handed off to my stepson there. Maybe they film one with him." Like, like totally like the last time I've ever doing that, anything like that ever again.
Oh yeah, I hope so. I'll be over here. Yeah. Just fucking points to the corner. It's like, this is where I'll be, guys. Don't bother me.
Yeah, we'll see you later. Well, I think it propelled him into getting some other roles, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It showed us that he can do action and that he can. I don't know. Like, it's kind of admirable, like, the acting in this, because, like, they get good actors. Like, Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale are good actors.
I like Gerard Butler in this.
Gerard Butler is not bad. Like, that. The acting, I don't think, is something that I could complain about. It's just mostly the writing and the dialogue and how they fucking handle the characters. Like, they get pissy, and there's, like, so much, like, testosterone machismo going on that, like, I'm the leader. No, I'm the leader. And then they fucking fight. Yeah. And then, like, half the people go with Matthew McConaughey. And then his son, or, like, not his son, but, like, you know, his basically adopted son.
Yeah, whatever he is.
Yeah, like...
I never got that, like, anyways. All of a sudden he goes, "You're not my dad." He goes, "I know I'm not your dad." Yeah. And I'm like, when did it ever get brought up he was his dad or, like, pseudo-dad?
Right.
Like, how did...
I think there's a scene where... There's a scene where he talks to the main lead actress, Isabella
Alex.
I'm just going to say Alex. There's a scene where he's talking to Alex and he explains it to her. Like, oh, I found him when he was 3. Yeah, and, like, he was trying to wake his mom situation up, and he didn't know his mom was dead, so I took him in.
Sure.
And basically, it raised him,
right?
Like, from when he was a toddler, and then, like, he's like, "I don't like you. I'm gonna go now." And, like, Christian Bale's like, "Good luck, son." And he just kind of looks at him and goes, "Like, okay, you're not gonna say goodbye or, like, say that you love your, like, surrogate dad, basically, like, this guy who's raised you from being basically a baby to now. Like, you're not gonna say anything. You're just gonna turn and walk away." And then the very next scene, he's like, "I messed up. I'm sorry." And Christian Bale's like, "Come here. It's fine." It's like, what the fuck, man? This
weird.
This fucking movie. It resolves it so damn quick.
Yeah,
it's so funny to me. Like, I just had so much fun laughing at this movie. Like. And in some ways, it's like, yeah, like, I respect a lot of the things that it did. I respect the action and, like, kind of how, like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, I don't know. Like, it's not something, like, it doesn't feel held back by anything.
Sure.
Like, it feels like it does what it wants to do for the most part, and it just goes for it.
Without restraint?
Without restraint. That's a good phrase.
Right.
And I like that it does that, but at the same time, there's a lot about this movie that's just not good.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Like, there's some shots, too. Like, they're riding in the vehicles, and, like, the camera's pointing at, like, some bumfuck dude at, like, this weird angle. It's like, what am I looking at? Like,
yeah,
what is this?
When they're on with the water guns and they kind of strap it on, like, the side of the car.
Yeah.
Or when they're in the car and they have to do the side shots.
Yeah, the side shot. Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a lot of, like, weird cinematography choices. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Like, the beginning of the film where he runs taking off to ask why they're leaving. And then what killed me is that guy, Eddie, had lost so many people. And every time they saw Eddie, they had to make sure that they reminded us how many people he's lost in his life. Like, I think I counted 4 different times. They were like, "That's Eddie. He lost his other kid. And now that's 2 wives, 3 kids, and a cat. That son of a bitch has got to be just fucking depressed as shit."
Well, because you watch the movie and the whole opening scene with him trying to leave, it's like, you know that he's going to fuck up.
Yeah.
And that he's going to get his family killed.
Exactly.
And then the rest of the movie is like, you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
You want to come back? You'll be safe with us. It's like, okay.
Hey,
I think he's learned his lesson.
You know that guy? That's Eddie.
That's Eddie.
Don't even try to get adopted by him.
This is Eddie. Don't be like Eddie.
If he pours an ounce of love in you, you're gone.
Yeah.
You got the black mark.
Any term, like any kind of relationship you have with him, Might as well make a gravestone.
Yeah, like dude, it was terrible because I think like it was like, all right, you guys have driven to the point, and then I think they were like leaving one last time, and Christian Bale's trying to salvage everyone. He goes, Eddie, I know you lost your other kid.
I know, he already lost before
like,
the movie starts.
Motherfucker, like we've already established Eddie's lost a lot of family members. Why are we still bringing this up?
I forgot that before the movie starts, he's already lost parts of his family because he's that much of a fucking asshole. Like,
oh man, yep. And that's where, and I was like, really weird. Like, try to like opening scene get us to care for what's going on in the world. You know, it's like obviously we're trying to get you guys to be sympathetic for what Eddie's doing, but at the same time, it's like, hey Eddie, you obviously don't have this.
No.
And I know that it's a lot like you're thinking it's better out there, but like you've already tried to do it before, you know?
It's like, Eddie, didn't you learn your lesson, man? This ain't it.
Yeah.
This ain't it, dog.
Just fall back, dude. Just live. You got your one other kid here, you know? And so
how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
The Eddie thing was killing me. The prayer was bizarre. Very touching, but like,
why are all the kids dressed in like it looks like a cult? Why are they all dressed in blue? Like what?
I mean, come on, it's post-apocalyptic. You know, I wasn't gonna harp on like I positives of this thing.
I almost thought about saying the prayer as like the opening for this episode.
Oh, that would have.
Which, thinking about it, I should have done that, but missed opportunities.
That's all right. And the prayers,
hindsight is 2020. Where this movie's set.
I will say this, man. The first time when they do it after the Star Wars thing, like touching, good. Didn't need it again.
Yes.
Then they do it in the fucking like Gerard Butler, which is one of the weirdest deaths that you'll ever see.
Yeah, like Gerard Butler dies. He doesn't make it to the door.
Well, so he's got a okay. So I'm going to explain the door to me because I got really confused by this too. He runs out. He runs out
because he's going to save. I just don't
know what Gerard Butler was doing.
So he runs out because he's like, there's more people out there. I got to save them, right? Like that's why he runs out or something.
Sure.
And then the dragon comes and then like... Because isn't Christian Bale out there? Like, I kind of forgot. Like, is Christian Bale out there with him and he makes it in, but then Gerard Butler doesn't?
They're both in the thing. And they're trying to... I think they got the water going. Maybe not yet. I can't...
And then Gerard Butler's like, I'm going to go out there for some bumfuck reason.
Christian Bale's like, I'm going to go out there. And Butler goes, no, you're going to stay here. I'm going to go get them.
Yeah.
And then he opens the door. And then that dragon comes in here. And by the fucking... Thank God that whatever power shut that door again.
Yeah.
Like, because they opened it up, they could have killed everyone.
Yeah, because Christian Bale doesn't close it. It just closes.
Gerard Butler, like, does this, like, weird thing. He's, like, holding an axe, and he looks back, and he's like, I love you, mate. You know, like, it was, like one of those things, like, I'm gone. And then, like, Christian Bale's like, no! And then, like, the fire engulfs him in the weird CGI, and then the door slams on its own. And then Christian Bale goes, well, by the way, too, that door would be so hot. Like, he would...
It's, like, made of wood. Like, wouldn't it be burning down?
No, it was metal.
I mean,
it's like... Yeah, but I don't... What metal hosts fucking heat? You know, where it's like, you're just good... He's, like, slamming and trying to, like, pound it open. And I guess, like... So this is where I was really confused. Like, you have to open it from the outside, but then I was like... Like, that just seems like a really bad way of doing that door. Like when you want to shut it from the inside so you have control over, like, when you can get out.
Yeah.
And, you know, because then they get in the predicament they get into that Matthew McConaughey has to come back and they clear those steps. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah. Well, they had to do it so where, like, the door would open and you didn't know it was Matthew McConaughey.
Right.
Like, you didn't know he was there or not.
You could have did the same. Like,
he comes back and he's got his tail between his legs. He's like, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That was it. By the way, talk about dumbass of dumbass plans.
Yeah. What the fuck? So... They have the helicopter.
Hold on, everyone, just so you guys know too, I love this film. I fucking love this thing. This isn't like anything that I'm trying to just down like it.
I love it for all the reasons that the movie doesn't want me to love it. So
we are opposite in that regard.
Yes. There's a divergence here. But I think there's a similar sentimentality.
Yes.
He has a convoy. He has all these tanks, all these trucks just in a line. and the helicopter, and that's it. Like, he has one helicopter.
Yes.
And then, what did he think was gonna happen? Like, they stop outside the city.
He didn't have a plan. He's like, we're just going.
He's just like, we're gonna go. We're gonna kill it. My name's Matthew McConaughey. And he goes there, and the dragon comes, kills everybody because they're all in the fucking open, all in a line. And the only people that survive are him, the chick, and one other guy that he carries on his back. And that's
for
it.
no reason, too. I don't know if you saw that scene. Like, he sees Alex. He's like, we got to get out of here. And he looks over and he sees a guy walking. And he just, like, fucking firearm rolls him.
The guy could walk just he had, like, a slight limp. That's
I was watching. Like, I was just like, what's going on? Like, this is so. It was one of the craziest, like, unclimactic, like, we're just, like, they did it from a distance. That dragon just he goes, and then he gets back. It's like 12 seconds.
It's kind of funny because, I mean, if you did that in real life, that's what would happen. A dragon would come and literally kill everyone there.
No plan whatsoever.
Because they're all sitting ducks in a group. But it's at the same time, like, I don't know if that's what this movie wanted me to feel. And I was fucking laughing my ass off at that scene. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Literally, he gets there. And like I'm like, because I remember like the dragon and the swooping and the fire, you know, and I remember all that from just being a kid. But I never really paid attention to like, oh yeah, he just really got pissed. I was like, fuck you, we're going.
Yeah.
And like that was it. It was like we're just gonna take, and then
I'm King Dick. I'm gonna go and head first, and we're just gonna see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. He gets back. It's like 12 seconds. That's all it took. Like he's like, I'm like, no fucking shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like. You had 30 guys in this thing. They've taken over the world. Like, what did you think was going to happen?
I love this movie so much.
Oh, and then,
it's so goddamn funny.
This movie's great.
I'm thinking about like one of the last scenes of the movie where Matthew McConaughey's at the top of the tower and he's got his fucking battle axe. He's got his fucking battle axe and the dragon's flying at him and he's like, let's do this, and he fucking jumps off of it and gets eaten immediately. Yeah. Like fucking
great, right?
I'm not entirely unconvinced that this movie isn't a comedy. Like,
I think there's like a little satire behind it, you know, like I don't know. I can't tell sometimes. Like
this movie to me is miles better than Speed 2 because I just enjoyed this for what it was. I had no expectations of like, you know, because Speed 2 is a sequel. I expected at least something as good as the first. But this one, it's like, it's fucking dragons in the modern age. Like, what am I getting into?
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It just struck a right chord with me. It's just, I must have been in like a really good mood because like I don't know, there's things about this movie that I should be like more harsh about, but I'm just not because of how goofy it is.
I'm telling you, dude, the reason why you're not is because this guy gave it an honest attempt.
That might be it.
I'm telling you, because like Congo is a great example. Congo shouldn't have a whole lot of expectations, but you watch that thing and that thing is so elementary. Right?
Yes.
Like just the dialogue, stilted dialogue. It's the same thing with this one. I mean, a lot of decisions
acting's bad,
don't make sense. Yeah, like, but this one actually, there's some decent camera shots. There's some decent tracking shots.
It's got a consistent tone. Very consistent tone.
Yeah, I mean, and they hold up to the post-apocalyptic world, and they're not going to sit here and take time to explain where they get food from or how they. Like, it's just like we're taking on dragons. Let's go.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of like it probably is like hanging out with me if I was like, hey, we're doing this. You know, it's like that guy's got some sort of fucking whatever going on. Like no matter how dumb it is.
I liked the sets. I liked a lot of the sets, how lived in they felt. I liked the world of it. I thought it was really cool.
Location and the dragons. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think the dragons still hold up until you get a little closer to them.
There's some shots where they're pretty impressive looking for the time. Like towards the end of the movie, the last dragon, I thought that looked like decently good. Just like mostly I think when it's flying through the air, when the archangels are flying through the clouds, that one was pretty rough.
They literally on the second time where they have to look back, they just insert it.
Yeah, it's just superimposed.
Yeah, it just popped up. Like it didn't like come through the clouds. Like it looked like you were playing a video game.
Yeah.
And like it was like, all right, I'm gonna shoot back, and it's like you miss, you know, and it like scoots over here and scoots back.
Yeah, it looked like a PS2 God of War cutscene.
By the way, I don't know if you knew this.
No.
PS2, there's a Reign of Fire video game.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I'm not lying.
I'm going to need to look up gameplay of this.
We rented it from Blockbuster after we saw the film. I was talking to Jasmine about this, and I was like, I don't remember much. All I remember is being in the car and shooting dragons and just getting my ass kicked.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's like I don't think it did very well. I mean, it sounds
Probably
like the
not.
whole franchise just like...
No. No. I mean, that was also the time, too, when they made a video game based on, like, almost every movie that came out.
I loved it.
Like, you would have Harry Potter video games.
Yes.
You would have fucking Fast and Furious games.
Yes.
You would have all this shit that would come out related to the property.
Yeah, it was part of the marketing plan.
Like, 2002 was, like, the prime time for that kind of thing. I'm gonna have to look up gameplay of that because that sounds fucking cool and wacky. I need to see it.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Like I was, it's $5 on some site. Like I was like,
you could probably get it on Steam for like $1.
if I could, I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's basically what most people use for PC gaming to like get their games online.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I got a PS4, so.
Oh.
But I think that if they have the game on, I'm like literally after this, I might go to the PlayStation store and see if it's like $3 on there.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth a shot. Why not?
Why not?
For research purposes for the podcast,
Of course.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's some of the good. The other good too is that a lot of it's like the dragon. They did to actually explain how they breathe fire. They took the properties of well, not properties, but they kind of related it to a beetle. There's a beetle that squirts out something, and then a viper that squirts out venom, and that's where you get the combustion and the fire. So actually, that has been replicated in movies since then. Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, like that actually held up. So like the mythos of the dragon and the biology of how it works is actually something that was smart enough to keep on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the dragon that they slaughter. They get the one like that was a pretty nice little.
The one at the beginning, kind of when Matthew McConaughey is first introduced. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, that's the one that they shoot with the. After they get the 3D imaging up, which was really weird.
Right. Like, after Christian Bale needed to ride out there on a horse.
Piscatella.
Yeah.
Piscatella. Mm-hmm. You got to get it up. And Christian Bale takes a horse there. But Matthew McConaughey, he had a couple lines. I was like, man, badass. He's like, I need you to take that 1,600 pounds of horse meat and bring it on over here so we can kill that fucker. I was like, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot about this movie that's just... I don't know. I respect it quite a bit. Yeah. No, I liked that scene where the first dragon's killed. Feels like it's out of an anime almost or something. Like very cartoonish in a way, but like action oriented.
I don't know. See, like I get on that, but I'm also like I feel like given with what they got, like I think it's believable. You know, like it doesn't.
It's believable, but it's like heightened. You know, like very stylistic.
I mean, I keep saying of the time, but yes. I mean, it's the Archangels.
You're not wrong.
I think the Archangel stuff's more anime to me.
Yes.
The actual Christian Bale on the horse coming down like feels westerny. You know, just shooting it, popping it with the spear gun.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, I don't know.
They're all celebrating, and then Matthew McConaughey comes in. He's like, I lost 3 good men today. What do you got to celebrate?
He goes... he goes, I want to cheers to the countries that have heroes.
Yeah. Or like, he says something that's very snarky. It's
well, he goes, you know, he pretty much says like, we're your heroes. And he's like, and I'm also going to fucking like spit on the tomb of those that envy them, you know, like, or that need them. And then he pretty much gets into like, I lost people today and you guys are celebrating like you just won the World War III, you know?
Yeah. I was like, oh, wow, this is a scene. Okay.
It is kind of fun though. I mean, if first time seeing it, you're not thinking that.
Right.
You know? Like, I mean, well, I don't know. You saw it. Like, did you go like, oh, he's going to come in here and definitely rain on the parade?
I think, that's what as soon as I saw his face, as he like
and
showed
that
up.
is called acting. As soon as I saw his face, not a word. And you're gonna go in here and talk about how bad the acting was.
Hey, I didn't say the acting was bad in this movie.
It's true, you did.
I actually like like I said, I think my issue is with the dialogue and the writing. That's really where the issue is.
Yeah, the script is just like
script is not. No.
Like a 1 out of 10? Anyways, we don't need to harp on how shitty the script is.
But anyways, yeah, as soon as I saw his face when he showed up to the party outside, I was like, he's going to fucking shit on this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as he walks in, like, he's going to make everybody go, oh, maybe we shouldn't be partying.
Yeah.
And then the end, after Matthew McConaughey gets eaten, and then Christian Bale's there, and I was like, there's less than 10 minutes of this movie left, including credits.
Yeah.
Like, this is, like, he's just going to shoot it with an arrow, and it's going to die, and he's going to get the girl, and everything's going to be fine. And then that's exactly what happens. It's
what else?
Cool.
What else do you want?
I don't know. It felt like a little, like, not anticlimactic, but it's like, kills dragon, the end. Like, oh, there it is.
Dude, that's how the movie was, like, shaped up. Like, it's funny because like they kill the male and I'm like, oh great, like now they just have to exterminate the other dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't do like it's a host thing where if you kill the host, if you kill the brain, the hosts die.
Yeah,
none of that. I mean, it's literally just now they're here, so whatever lifespan they have as dragons with all 3 million of them on the planet. Like it was like, hey, everything's going back to normal.
It's
and
all
I'm
right,
like,
guys, we just gotta wait this out.
Yeah, I'm like, there's a shit ton of dragons.
Meanwhile, dragons live like hundreds of years and fucking
like that's what I was saying. Like,
there's like millions of them.
And they can't reproduce. Yeah, so I thought that was funny.
All right, guys, we just kick back and we relax. Yeah, we've done our part.
We're good. We got that
job well done. They like pat their hands.
Well, they literally did it too. They're like, oh, they're eating each. Well. The one thing was they're eating each other, so maybe that you get some of the cannibalism going on with the dragons. I don't know why. We don't need to hop into how the dragons end, but they definitely like kind of wrap it up with the bow, and it's like we're good.
Yes,
it's like no, you still have a really big problem.
They do wrap it up with a bow, a crossbow.
Yeah, not bad.
Thank
not
you.
bad.
Thank you. That is a 6 out of 10 joke.
Yeah, better than the script.
Yeah. That's an 8 out of 10 joke right there.
So I didn't really care for the dragon's eyes either. Like we get through the whole film without like having to deal with the eye thing, and then we get the eyes.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just a lot of weird.
But I did like the perspective. And this is where I like in the city. I don't know if you had the
like the dragon's perspective.
No. So they talk about the witching hour or the magic hour, which I don't know why they couldn't have came up with anything cooler than the magic hour. Like
the magic hour.
Yeah. But it was a time in between when the dusk hits. You have which I don't even know if they were in when that happened.
Right, movie's not consistent with its own.
Well, and they
line
like
of
they
thinking.
don't like Matthew McConaughey does, like look, even in some shitty film, the sun's setting.
Yeah, he's like pointing at his watch, like guys,
yeah,
you know what time it is.
Like we just all assume they're at this spot, but now I'm looking back, I was like, this felt like 11 o'clock on like in a Saturday in an abandoned town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is lunchtime.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel like we're at like 7:30 at night. It definitely felt like just going out on a stroll.
Like George down the road is going to get Arby's at this time.
Like the paper just got dropped off. We're gonna go pay $1 for it.
Oh, speaking of which, when the Times magazine cover came up, I paused the movie and I looked online to see if there was like a replica like Times magazine for this movie. There isn't. Like, there's not even anything on Etsy.
No. Why would you do something that cool?
I know. Well, like, I wanted to find one to maybe get as a gift or something, but
we should make it.
We
should
probably easily could.
Yeah.
Because, like, you just got to go to Staples and, like, you can get a cover of, like, a magazine made. And then
we go to Staples and we're like, make this. And then they just take the image and they blow it up.
It's all fucking pixely, shitty looking.
And it's like you can see the cutout of the desk in the corner, like.
Oh my god!
Yeah, we
just glue it to an actual Times magazine.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great.
Official Neon Crew podcast merch.
Oh, we should go through these films and find like what like would be cool to have that no one's done before.
Yeah, some cool like merch ideas that the movie just didn't offer.
Yeah, I wonder if we're past the statute of limitations because like Touchstone doesn't even exist. So who are they gonna sue?
Right, exactly. Like probably, honestly, like this movie is probably in the public domain. It's probably why it's free on YouTube. Just watch it.
All right, hold on. So back to my point, because I was gonna say,
Yes.
I had an issue with the dragons flying around, and I never really thought about it, but the vision, you're to be able to see, and so I was like, this is like kind of similar to like a hawk and like a field rat, or like a field mouse. Like those things, like to be able to hear it and see it, an eagle's eye view, a hawk's eye view, like it's kind of like, I don't know if you ever felt like, all right, like they shouldn't be seen that easily, but if you have that kind of predator and prey mentality, that last scene's kind of like interesting, because like, yeah, they're trying to hide and be stealthy, but at the same token, it's the same look as if you were a hawk with a field mouse. Like you navigate through the terrain, but like you still got to get from point A to point B without that thing fucking seeing you. And it makes it a little bit more, I don't want to say eerie, but suspenseful. I mean,
it gives you the sense that like at any time these dragons could come down and destroy everything.
Well, yeah, or pick you off, or however you want to think. Like,
yes.
Towards the end, like when they're all out in the fields and running around and shit. I mean, it's like the ants with the magnifying glass. Like these people are idiots.
Eddie.
Yeah, the biggest one of them all.
Yeah.
The fucking town idiot.
Yeah.
God, could you imagine him swooning you too? Not like you, but like be that chick.
Hey, my first wife.
Yeah. Oh, you have to come up with some heat jokes.
Yeah. Burning passion.
Yeah. Right.
Just kind of flamed out,
Oh, tiptoes around it.
Yeah.
I wonder how hard it is. One, there's only 40 people in that
it can't be too hard.
Colony.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, aren't you that guy?
Yeah, victims of circumstance. Like, I guess you're my wife now, or like you're my husband.
Yeah, all it takes.
I don't have much of a choice. It's either you or Lazy Eye Joe.
Yeah. Who do you want to go with? Eddie, who's lost 9 family members?
Yeah.
The guy that can't look you in the eye.
Right. I want to be intimate.
You never know if he's telling you the truth.
Right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ugh. Was there anything else about this movie that we wanted to talk about before we wrap this up?
No, I think we've hit on everything. I mean, it was different watching it last night. I mean, this is, like I said, this is the second or third time I've seen it in the last 3 months, but the first time I actually got to sit down and like watch it, and I just could not believe how tragically underwritten the script was.
Underbaked.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like I don't know who had touched on and got their hands on this. Is like, this is where we're going.
It's like they didn't even put it in the oven. They just left it out on the counter.
This was budgeted for $60 million. Domestically it made 46, 48, and then worldwide made 83. So
yep. 82.2, but yeah.
I like to round up for the cause.
Yeah. Feel sorry for this movie.
No, not at all. I cherish this thing. This is, I think, a movie that is really. This is one of those films I think is a safe bet to throw on at like a party with friends anywhere, because like.
Oh yeah, I want to watch this with a group.
That's what and I like, even if you want to poke fun at it, like I think there's still something admirable about it, and it's not total like. It's not total. It obviously it's outlandish, but like what I'm saying is
there's something there.
Well, the mythos. I mean, the dragon alone for what they did and to have it replicated going forward throughout media now, like that says something about people trying.
Yeah,
and you get young Christian Bale and you get Matthew McConaughey, who was kind of like, what sucks now is like you look back on their legacies. It's like, how was Christian Bale in this? But at the time, I mean, you didn't even know who Christian Bale was. So it's kind of fun to go back and think about, like, oh my God, like, could you imagine, like, fourth film coming out, like, no one really knows that he's going up against Matthew McConaughey,
the big leaguer.
Yeah. So
Van Zandt.
Yeah.
I almost made a joke about him being Gus Van Sant, but no, I didn't bring it up. Yeah, no, we can get into ratings.
Right.
I can go first.
Yes.
Since you went first last time. Really love this movie. Hilarious. 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom. Let's go.
It's got some worth. It's got some things about it that I respect. I love how consistent the tone is, and I respect it for going for what it wants to do. But at the same time, writing's not good. Characters are all dumb. Fucking story's just kind of not brain dead, but I mean, it's, you know, it's not written by Charlie Kaufman or anything.
This is a different point A to point B story that just really.
Yes.
This is how you like screw those up.
Yes. And I can see myself watching this again if I get a group of friends together and we have a good like bad movie night kind of thing.
I hate to hear it, but I understand.
That's all I want.
I'm not gonna lie.
To understand.
In my head, I was like, man, I just remember this. That's why I love picking these films from when I was like 12 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because I have so much love and respect for them, and then you throw them on again. It's like, boy, howdy. But this is a movie that I probably watch again and dive into and try to learn a little bit more and come up with some. This would be a fun one to come up with some theories.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So 5 out of 10.
Yes.
All right. I'm I'm an 8 out of 10.
Nice. Beautiful.
Yes. This is a nostalgic, heartfelt movie. Charming. You really, I'm telling, like when I see the nice thing too is like when I see McConaughey and Bale, you know, like I remember the no names that they were when I first saw it. So it's always fun to see now where they're at and looking back and seeing those.
Look at how much you've grown.
Yes.
I'm so proud of you.
The dragons, the action scenes, the archangels. I love just the notion of the archangels, you know, plummeting out of the heavens, taking down evil.
Yes.
Like, it's just fun. So anyways, it's fun. No, the reason it's probably knocked down 2 points is because of the script. The script is really bad. The script is like one of those things that you probably like use, like put dog shit in, light it on fire, and then knock on the neighbor's door.
Yes.
Like definitely like one of those things
it's
where
actual fecal matter.
Yeah. Like you wouldn't feel bad if you had the, you know, and the funny thing is that the director about this, he goes, listen, at the end of the day, I know the script's not great, but he goes, could have been a 120-page doorstop. So it got made.
It got made.
Yeah.
It did get made.
So
who's the real winner in the end?
Yeah. Touchstone Pictures.
Yeah. Rest in peace. Yeah. Good times. Good times. Speaking of good times.
Yes.
We are going to have some good times when we answer our questions.
Let's go.
So we got a few questions from our Facebook. So thank you for those who left those for us. Our first question comes from Matt, and he asks, movie you love that you're afraid to admit you love. I'm sure you have a lot of those.
I think the last 3 I've recommended.
I think, yeah. You've got, I think, more for the both of us to
I don't know
spare.
if I'm... See, like, the thing when I go, like, I'm ashamed to say I love it, like... Reign of Fire, I could stand by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speed 2, I don't know.
Speed 2 would be rough.
Speed 2 is a bad
I think Speed 2 would be hard to convince people. Just from personal experience.
I don't know if I could. You know in The Incredibles when he's like Flash, like have you seen The Incredibles?
Yeah.
And he does the tack and that teacher, and he goes, "I know he's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's doing it," and then he tries to pause it, and he goes, "See, and you can't see anything. That'd be me watching Speed 2. I'm going like, it's great. Do you see? Just keep pointing at it, like asking him like, tell me you're watching this. It's great. Don't you see?
I'm like looking around. I'm looking around for the good in it.
I'll go Speed 2.
Okay. I mean, not that I'm ashamed really, but I don't know. I'm always kind of not apprehensive, but like when I tell people about Velocipaster, it's just, it's kind of like,
I think that's fun. That's like, it meant to be fun.
It is, but it's one of those movies where, okay, is this movie like on the level of Sharknado? Like, it's mostly for when I introduce it to people and they're trying to figure out what kind of movie it is.
Right.
They usually ask me like, oh, is it kind of like Sharknado a bit? And I'm like, yes and no.
A little bit more serious than Sharknado.
Like, I wouldn't even say it, just like different. It's different than Sharknado in the way that it presents the things that you see on screen. Like, it's very practical and low budget, but their ideas are out of this world. And I think that it's it's not as lazy to me as like Sharknado. Sharknado, it's like they know they're bad, but like they don't really put effort behind them.
Yeah.
Because they know that they're bad, so they feel like, oh, we don't have to do anything to like stand out from the rest of the crowd, you know? Whereas like Velocipaster is like, it knows it's bad, but it's almost like trying its best to be bad. And because of it, it's really fucking good, and I love it.
Interesting.
I've shown a few people Velocipaster, and yeah, we've had some good times. But before I show them the movie, I always have to kind of explain to them, like, it's kind of like Sharknado, but it's not like Sharknado, you know? It's riding that line a bit.
Yeah, because I haven't seen it, but I think that's how I describe it. Just from what I've seen, which is nothing. But
from what I've heard, which is only from you.
Yeah. You know. I'm trying to go through. I'm like going through. Like, I love all these films. I wouldn't be ashamed to say any. Ooh. Oh. Anyways. Yeah. Well, if we have to, we can come back to it as I go through. What's the next question?
Yeah. We can move on.
Yeah.
If we don't come up with other answers too, I think those are good enough. Excuse me. Good friend of the pod, J Hall.
Let's go, J Hall.
I actually put that as like his full name for my notes. He asks, "Are the rumors true? Shrek 5." So Shrek 5. I actually looked this up before you came over.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah. And I had the tab open, but now it's gone. So I'm going to type in Shrek, and the franchise page for the Wikipedia is going to come up, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to open up future. There we go. That's what I had. I don't know why I closed out of it. So basically, back when they made Shrek 2.
Oh, hold on. Wait, no. I'll answer it later. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they made Shrek 2, they basically came out and said, hey, guess what? We've got 3 more movies that we're planning for the Shrek franchise. Like, we've mapped this whole story out basically
sort of like MCU
from the beginning. Yeah. Like, they were very like kind of MCU about it. And then Shrek the Third came out, and it was poorly received. And then it took them a while to make Shrek Forever After. Which
isn't that bad.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know. It's like the only Shrek movie I haven't watched, but I might check it out.
4. I like how you made it sound like there's 12 of these things.
I know, right? Like Land Before Time. Yeah. Fucking Fast and Furious. The Shrek cinematic universe. But so Shrek Forever After came out, and because it was called Shrek Forever After, people assumed, oh, this is going to be like the last one. And that's very much how the studio treated it.
Yeah.
Was that it's going to be the last one, but then because of the success of Puss in Boots: The Last Witch, which is, by the way, fucking fantastic movie. Like, really, I think you should watch it with Preston, and I think you and he will have a good time.
I think he might have already seen it, but yeah. So check it out. I check it out with your kid.
Yes, or okay. I mean, if you want to, just watch it by like I went to the movies by myself to see it, and it was fucking great. Like, one of the best animated movies I think I've seen in a theater in quite some time. I
trust your opinion. I trust it with John Wick.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yep.
So then after the success of that, one of the producers for DreamWorks came out and said, yeah, no, Shrek 5 is on the docket. And not only do we want to do that, but we also want to do a Donkey spin-off movie, which who knows how that's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Max Face grimaced. Understandably, when I said
money grab
Donkey
stuff.
spinoff.
Yeah, just go with the Shrek. Just leave it at Shrek.
And that's why I'm not one way or another about it. I'm like, okay, let's see how it turns out. Because like Puss in Boots was really fucking good, and they could continue that.
Isn't it the second Puss in Boots one?
It is.
Yeah.
And it's unusual that it's as good as it is, because the first Puss in Boots was like not anything special.
Right.
But if they keep that trend going, I'm curious to see where it goes. But like what your facial expression told me earlier, it's like, okay, this could easily be shit and a money grab, really? Which I mean,
yeah,
a lot of times it is. So I guess we'll wait and see what happens.
Yes. So it sounds like though that Shrek 5.
It sounds like
we could be seeing it within the next year.
Yeah, like if not the movie itself, at least like a screenshot or trailer or something.
Right. So they haven't even done production on it.
I think if they are, it's in the very early stages.
Right.
What was your answer for The last question.
Oh, I Spy and Behind Enemy Lines.
I Spy.
Eddie Murphy, Owen Wilson.
Is that based on like the book?
No, it's this could very well be one of these two films could be talked about.
Oh,
I Spy is the comedy duo of Owen Wilson, Eddie Murphy, and Eddie Murphy's a boxer, kind of fish out of water. He's got to get partnered up with Owen Wilson. They got to go to Russia to find out this like invisible jet. I forget what they call it.
weird.
Yeah,
I've never heard of this movie.
There's a reason.
Okay.
But this movie fucking cracks me up so much.
Yeah. And what was the other one?
Behind Enemy Lines, another Owen Wilson movie. Owen Wilson is starring another jet. They're going over this made up country, and they're trying to get pictures of like missiles, and so the U.S. has a treaty with this made up country, and anyways, the Navy's like we want to try to get in there as close as we can, so they'd have to break like the whatever treaty they have to not, because you'd have to get to a certain distance to take pictures of the missiles, So anyways, they break the surface of the plane, they take the pictures. Well, the country figures it out. They shoot down the plane, and now Owen Wilson is behind enemy lines.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
Owen Wilson.
It's
I'm behind enemy lines. Wow.
Yeah. It's him and Gene Hackman plays a colonel on the ship. And
nice.
Owen Wilson's like trying to get. Yeah. It's a very 10-year-old action film.
Nice. I forget that Owen Wilson sometimes does like action movies. Well, he did one a few years ago. It was like, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like him with his family in like this foreign country.
Oh, that's No Escape.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called.
I think you're right. I remember seeing previews for it, and I was like, that's fucking weird. Like, this isn't Wes Anderson. What's Owen Wilson doing here? Like, I don't know. There's no Ben. Where's Ben Stiller? Like, is he around the corner? What's going on here? But yeah, cool.
Yeah, good so answers. If you guys want to check out those films, I Spy and Behind Enemy Lines are really phenomenal. You'll have a good time watching them.
Both with Owen Wilson and jets, apparently.
Yeah.
Cool.
Does that speak more about me? Anyways.
Maybe. If Top Gun had Owen Wilson, it'd be like a 10 out of 10 movie for you.
Yeah.
Our last question is from Joanne, my mom. This one's for Kyle. If someone offered you money to shave your mustache, would you, and for how much? It would have to be in the 6 digits. Probably, I'm thinking $500,000. You give me that, I'll shave my mustache off.
What about 100,000?
I'll trim it.
I wish I just had someone, but I'd want to cut.
Maybe I'm going a little too expensive. Like, okay, give me like $50,000. I can, but here's the thing, right? Ever since I've had my mustache like this, which if you don't know what I look like, it's basically a handlebar. It looks like Luigi's mustache, basically.
Yeah.
Kind of old timey boxer mustache.
Bronson.
Yes, I'm going for the Bronson look. And ever since I've had my mustache like this, I've gotten nonstop compliments because of this mustache. Like from men, from women, from kids. I was at the ice cream store like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was just standing in line, and there was this little girl off with her parents. She couldn't have been any older than like 4 years old. And she looked up at her mom, and I heard her say, "Mommy, that guy has a cool mustache." And it made me feel so good. So I can't get rid of this.
Well, you can grow it back.
I can grow it back, but it's gonna take time. See, that's a myth. I heard that's a myth, though. Like if you shave something and then it grows back thicker.
It's the same thing as drinking coffee.
Put some hair on your chest?
No, it makes you shorter.
Oh, or it makes you shit a lot.
Wait, I don't know if that's true.
Does drinking coffee make you shorter? Like as you get older? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I don't drink coffee, so I'm not worried about that.
Not yet.
Not yet. I've thought about it. I've thought about like maybe I should start drinking coffee because I always get up early for work, and then I'm always really tired. Yeah. But it's like I don't really need it.
Is it really worth the caffeine addiction?
Well, the caffeine and the cost of it, because like coffee's not cheap.
Well,
Like, unless you make it at home
you
yourself.
drink water or Dr. Pepper. First thing you get up, if you need a little hit of something.
Heroin.
Yeah.
I do the Kurt Cobain special. No.
He started drinking coffee when he was 4.
Well, as much as I love Dr. Pepper, I can't drink it as soon as I wake up.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you're clean.
Thank you.
Yeah, as long as it's water.
Yeah. No, I would sooner drink water like as soon as I get up than Dr. Pepper. That just sounds fucking nasty. Just sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's not a very good. Yeah.
Like, you wake up, you got like the cotton mouth, like and then like, Dr. Pepper. It's like, no.
Let's take a hit of that.
No, like,
Especially if it's already opened.
like I get why people drink coffee because it like wakes you up. It acts as a stimulant, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to go to the bathroom 4 times a day. Also, oh, my GF is here. Mac was waving at her very subtly, and then I just called it out.
Well, it took me by. I got startled.
You scared my boy.
Yeah.
You scared Mac. It's okay. We're wrapping up. You came at the perfect time.
Perfect time.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But before we get going, one more bit of business. I get to make a film pick recommendation.
Believe it.
And I have a very specific choice that pairs up with another movie that we're going to talk about.
Oh, God.
I am going to recommend. Let me look up some info about this real quick. Make sure I get my cards right here. This is a movie that came out 1993. It is based off of a video game, and I think you know where I'm going with this. Directed by Annabelle Jankel and Rocky Morton.
I knew where you were going as soon as you said it pairs up with another film.
Yep. I want to talk about the live-action Super Mario Brothers movie starring Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo.
And Leguizamo protesting.
We'll talk about that. We can talk about that when we touch on it.
Yeah.
But I figured it'd pair well with the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, let's go. I haven't seen it yet. My son's seen it, so I'll get his review on it.
Yes. We can get Preston's review on it, get his thoughts as an actual child, the intended audience for this movie. And you'll get to hear us talk about both Mario movies that exist.
If you're not excited about that, go hit yourself with a brick.
Yes. Wahoo. Anyway, check those movies out before episode 44. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you tuning in. You can find us on www.neoncrewpodcast.com. We're also on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Keep an eye out on our social medias on Facebook and our YouTube community page because I often make posts there. Sometimes I'll put a question thread. Sometimes I'll put an Ask an Audience thread that we can talk about on the next episode that we record. These episodes come out every other Sunday. And, before I forget,
merch.
Yes, we got a new line of merch that came out. It took some time. I was very lazy about it, but we finally got it out there on our Etsy page. To get to our merch store, you can go from our YouTube homepage. I have it linked in some of the videos we have. You can check out what we've got. We've got some cool t-shirt designs. We've got a logo design on a black tee. We've got the Times New Roman in both black and white. That I really like how that turned out.
Love that.
We've got the WWTHD t-shirt.
I think that's the one that I gotta get.
Yes, I'll order that for you.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get you one.
Let me know, because I was about to say that. That's it.
That's it. That's your bread and butter.
Oh my God.
Speaking of which,
is it that time?
It's that time.
WWTHD.
Bye, everyone.